Chapter 481, Your Majesty, please appoint a queen. The generals in front of Tokugawa Yuan were silent. The loss of 100,000 soldiers was indeed too heavy for them. The East Sakura Empire suffered such a loss just after its founding. It was a huge blow to the entire country and to Emperor Tokugawa Yuan. Your Majesty, can we really win? Even if we set foot on the territory of the Shenlong Empire, how can we defeat them? A general said bitterly. They only faced 20,000 people from the Shura Corps last night. The army of 300,000 was in action, but 250,000 were lost. They didn't know the enemy's losses, but they must be very low. The Shenlong Empire has 2 million troops. The Shura Corps accounts for 500,000. The Shenlong Empire has a population of 200 to 300 million. The ratio of military to civilian is 3% is a relatively safe line, which means that if necessary, the Shenlong Empire can recruit another 4 to 5 million soldiers. Tokugawa Yuan's heart trembled. With the support of the Shenlong Empire, he fought smoothly and gradually became arrogant. This war poured a bucket of cold water on him. It was not how powerful they were before, but the weapons supported by the Shenlong Empire were powerful. They benefited from the weapons. Your Majesty, maybe we need to change our minds. Our East Sakura Empire and the Blood Sakura Empire have a total population of more than 30 million, and 1 million have died in the war. The general who had just spoken continued. Another general said in a deep voice, Your Majesty, we have no way out, and the Shenlong Empire will not give us a chance to survive. General Tanaka is spreading rumors and misleading the people. I suggest that Your Majesty punish him severely. Tokugawa Yuan looked at the general who had persuaded him. General Tanaka, you should commit suicide. Tokugawa Yuan said in a deep voice. From the moment they confirmed the rebellion, they really had no way out. They could only go all the way to the end. Your Majesty. General Tanaka's face changed drastically. Tokugawa Yuan said in a deep voice, what we need at this time is not words like yours, but to work together to defeat the enemy. Do you want to be decent, or do I give you a decent one? General Tanaka's face turned pale. Your Majesty, I will do it myself. He drew out his saber and instantly wiped his neck. Blood quickly gushed out, and soon General Tanaka fell in a pool of blood. Several other generals felt sympathetic. Your Majesty, I suggest that we postpone our actions. The weapons of the Dragon Empire are too advantageous, and we must have them as well. Another general said. The others nodded repeatedly. Weapons like mortars and mines are better, but weapons like thermobaric bombs and thermite incendiary bombs are really terrible. When faced with mortars, their powerful warriors can still react, and they can dodge with their speed. How to dodge thermobaric bombs? When a thermobaric bomb comes, there will be no grass for hundreds of meters. Even if they hide in the trenches, they will be dead. As generals, they can't hide in the rear all the time. How can they command if they can't grasp the situation on the front line in time? For weapons, we have to see the situation on the Vulture Empire side. Since Xiao Fan can pass many things over, the Vulture Empire should be able to find a way by then. Another general said. A younger general said, Your Majesty, is it possible for us to destroy the suppression rules of each city? If so, we can fight the Dragon Empire fairly. Tokugawa Yuan shook his head, it is impossible unless the entire city is destroyed. The rules are formed bit by bit over a long period of time. The power of heaven is like a big river. Building a dam may affect the direction of the river. It is difficult to change it back after the impact. Even if the suppression of the city is destroyed, those weapons are still very strong. Have you forgotten the Black Tiger Empire? The Black Tiger Empire dueled with the Dragon Empire on the grassland. The top warriors were not easy to show up, and the ordinary soldiers were slaughtered. There are not many of our top warriors left now. Everyone was silent. 300,000 people besieged Hingpu City, Li Anrong killed 250,000 enemies, and his own losses were less than 1,000 people. Xiao Hai got the battle report, and he was excited. Li Anrong and his men only had 20,000 people, and Xiao Hai was still a little worried. He didn't expect Li Anrong to give him such a surprise. Congratulations, Your Majesty, congratulations, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, after this battle, the Blood Sakura Empire and the East Sakura Empire should no longer have the courage to encircle and suppress Hengpu City. Several ministers in front of Xiao Hai spoke one after another. They were all beaming. Before this battle, the Blood Sakura Empire had 700,000 soldiers and the East Sakura Empire had 450,000, but most of them were recruits. After this battle, the soldiers of the two countries added up to only 900,000, and 600,000 to 700,000 of them were recruits. They couldn't mobilize the country's troops to encircle and suppress Hengpu City. Even if they took down Hengpu City, they would suffer heavy losses. Prime Minister Du Qingchuan said, "Your Majesty, when our other 50,000 people land in the Blood Sakura Empire, the situation in the Blood Sakura Empire will be completely stable. There is one thing that Your Majesty must put on the agenda. Du Qingchuan is very talented. He was originally exiled by the Emperor of the Divine Flame Empire, but Xiao Hai took him back and made him the Prime Minister. Du Qingchuan handled many things in an orderly manner. He was also very loyal to Xiao Hai." Xiao Hai asked in confusion, "What is it?" How could he not know that he had forgotten other important things? Du Qingchuan said, "Your Majesty, you have been on the throne for so long, and you have pacified the Black Stone Empire and the Tianlua Kingdom one after another. Now that the Blood Sakura Empire is about to end, it is time to consider your lifelong affairs. Although Your Majesty is in his prime, for the long-term stability of the country needs a prince and a crown prince. I beg Your Majesty to choose a queen." Du Qingchuan knelt down at this point, and the other important ministers also knelt down. Xiao Hai's eyes widened. "With my current cultivation, I have no problem living another 500 years. Why are you so anxious?" Du Qingchuan said, "Your Majesty, with your cultivation, it is difficult for you to die, but we are a little worried about another situation. Your talent is too strong." Xiao Hai frowned. "Are you worried that my talent is too strong?" Du Qingchuan said, "Your Majesty, there is no martial saint in the whole world. Will you ascend to the martial saint level after breaking through? With your talent, Your Majesty, it is entirely possible for you to break through. If you suddenly ascend, won't the country be in chaos without a crown prince? I beg Your Majesty to establish a queen, give birth to a prince as soon as possible, and establish a crown prince as soon as possible." Xiao Hai's face changed. Du Qingchuan's words shocked him. He is now half a step into the martial saint level. If he works hard to practice, he should be able to reach the martial saint level within half a year. In the past, he only thought that if he broke through, he would be the only martial saint, and then he would be invincible and happy. He really didn't think of this. If he breaks through to the martial saint level and ascends, that would be a big joke. Xiao Hai glanced at Du Qingchuan and the others. It was impossible to establish a queen, he only wanted to pursue martial arts. Doesn't the crown prince have Xiao Fan? Your Majesty, it is dangerous for the country to have a crown prince, please establish a queen. Du Qingchuan and the others said in unison. Xiao Hai pondered. Du Qingchuan and the others were still trustworthy, and his relationship with Xiao Fan could be revealed to Du Qingchuan and the others. If someone knew that he came from another world and opposed him, or opposed Xiao Fan becoming the crown prince, he would have to deal with it as soon as possible. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 482 Your Majesty, Xiao Fan is your grandson. Xiao Hai knew that his relationship with Xiao Fan would be exposed sooner or later. If the enemy exposed it, there might be chaos. He let Du Qingchuan and others know first, so that even if the enemy was exposed, the impact on him and Xiao Fan would be much lower. The Blood Cherry Empire has won a great victory, and now is a good time to tell this secret. Xiao Hai thought to himself. You get up first. Xiao Hai said in a deep voice. Du Qingchuan and others stood up after hearing this. Xiao Hai said in a deep voice, Prime Minister Du, how do you think I am doing as an emperor? Du Qingchuan knelt down again in a hurry. Your Majesty, how dare I criticize Your Majesty? Just say it when I ask you to. Xiao Hai frowned. Du Qingchuan secretly organized his words and said, Your Majesty, 1 or 2 years ago, our Shenlong Empire was still in dire straits. Externally, the Black Tiger Empire in the north often provoked us, and the warships of the Vulture Empire often showed off their power along our coast. Even the Blood Cherry Empire and some small countries around us dared to provoke us. The country can be said to be in turmoil. The other ministers nodded in agreement. The former Shenyan Empire was certainly a big country, but if you say it was a strong country, I'm afraid many people in the country would not agree. Compromising with foreign countries and oppressing the people at home, where is the strength? In just 1 or 2 years, under your leadership, we defeated the Black Tiger Empire in the north to recover the northern border, suppressed the Tianlua Kingdom in the northeast, and severely defeated the Blood Sakura Empire in the east. Our army's strength has soared, and the 500,000 armored heavy cavalry are famous. The strength of the navy is also growing. It is no exaggeration to say that Your Majesty is the greatest emperor in the history. Du Qingquan's words sounded like flattery, but in his own opinion, he did not exaggerate at all. Your Majesty, although we have gone through several wars, we won them quickly, with very little loss and huge profits. The living standards of the people have also improved a lot. Another minister said. The third minister grinned and said, Your Majesty, I am a rough man. I only know that everyone is well fed and well dressed now. I am becoming more and more confident in the country. Xiaohai nodded slightly. Prime Minister Du, please get up first. When will you change your old habit of kneeling all the time? Du Qingquan stood up and said, Your Majesty, it is natural for me to kneel down to Your Majesty. It is not a problem. Forget it, I am too lazy to talk to you about this. Xiaohai waved his hand. He glanced at Du Qingquan and the others. I have a secret to tell you. I am not from your world. I am from Earth. Du Qingquan and the others stared at Xiaohai in a daze. Xiaohai pondered and said, 10 years ago, I accidentally traveled to this world. I gradually adapted to it. After I had a certain strength, I chose to join the army and did some things, but I couldn't change the corruption of the Shenyan Empire. The emperor was incompetent and cruel, so I rebelled. Du Qingquan and the others listened carefully, digesting this shocking news. Rebellion is not that easy. The situation was not optimistic at the beginning. Fortunately, I contacted my grandson. The figure of Xiao Fan appeared in Du Qingquan and others' minds. Your Majesty, Xiao Fan is your grandson? Du Qingquan asked. Xiaohai nodded slightly. Yes, he is my grandson. With his support, I can quickly solve the Divine Flame Empire. Only then can I march north to the Black Tiger Empire and suppress the Tianlua Kingdom and the Blood Sakura Empire. Xiaohai paused at this point, and he let Du Qingquan and others digest it for a while. Now that you know that I am not from the Divine Flame Empire, will your loyalty to me be shaken? Xiaohai said in a deep voice. Du Qingquan and others knelt down again swiftly. Your Majesty, I swear to be loyal to you until death. Du Qingquan and others said in unison. Xiaohai nodded slightly, and Du Qingquan continued, Your Majesty, from the current situation, the humans on Earth are the same as our ancestors. The Chinese have yellow skin and black hair, and we should be of the same clan. Your Majesty, there is no problem with you establishing a country and becoming emperor. The others also nodded. Xiaohai said, I only have one grandson, Xiao Fan, and I plan to make him the crown prince and let him inherit the throne. Do you have any objections? Du Qingquan and the others shook their heads. They had no problem with Xiaohai's loyalty. Xiaohai wanted to make Xiao Fan the crown prince, and they certainly had no objection. Persuade me to establish a queen, and you can stop this matter from now on. You don't have to worry about the crown prince. When Xiao Fan can come here, I will make him the crown prince, and the empire will have a crown prince. Xiaohai said in a deep voice. Du Qingquan and the others nodded. Xiao Fan is Xiaohai's grandson. In the absence of a son, there is nothing wrong with making the only grandson the crown prince. For the time being, only you know this secret. You are forbidden to reveal it, lest Xiao Fan is in danger over there. Xiaohai said in a deep voice, Don't mention the matter of establishing a queen anymore. I have no plan to establish a queen at all. Du Qingquan smiled and said, Since you have a plan for the crown prince, we will definitely not bother you with this matter again. Xiaohai nodded. Prime Minister Du, you should know how much Xiao Fan has done to help the Shenlong Empire develop to its current level. If I suddenly disappear after breaking through to the level of Martial Saint, can you be as loyal to Xiao Fan as you are to me? Du Qingquan said solemnly, Your Majesty, don't worry. If such a thing really happens, I will definitely swear allegiance to the crown prince until death. I will also swear allegiance until death. The other important ministers said in unison. Xiaohai nodded slightly. I will suspend my cultivation. I won't break through to the level of Martial Saint so quickly. Don't worry about this. If Xiao Hai works hard, he estimates that he can reach the level of martial saint in 3 or 4 months. If he plays rotten, it may take another year. The talent is there. Even if he plays badly, Xiao Hai's cultivation will improve. It is certain that he will reach the level of martial saint in the future. Your Majesty, we will take our leave, Du Qingchuan said. Xiao Hai nodded. Du Qingchuan and the others quickly withdrew from the imperial study. They had to go back and digest the news. The news they got today was too shocking. Huh. Xiao Hai breathed a sigh of relief. After telling the secret, he felt a lot more relieved. It is possible to ascend after breaking through to martial saint. I really haven't considered this. Xiao Hai thought to himself. He was a little scared. If he suddenly ascended and the crown prince was not established, the Shenlong Empire would definitely fall into chaos immediately, and there would definitely be internal and external troubles and the people would be living in misery. If Xiao Fan came but his position was unstable, the situation would be even worse. I hope he won't ascend. Xiao Hai muttered to himself. He still wanted to break through to the level of martial saint, and then he would be invincible in the world. Dong dong. Xiao Hai rushed to the underground river and contacted Xiao Fan. Grandpa, it's not the agreed time today. Is there something wrong? Xiao Fan said in surprise. The time he and Xiao Hai agreed to was tomorrow. Xiao Hai said, My dear grandson, Grandpa, and several ministers have explained your situation. They all firmly support you to succeed the throne. Xiao Fan was stunned. Grandpa, why are you in such a hurry to explain? Xiao Hai explained the situation to Xiao Fan. My dear grandson, Grandpa will suspend his cultivation, but he will definitely break through to the martial saint level in the future. You have to hurry up and come. If Grandpa really ascends, before ascending, you must reach the martial emperor level, not to mention the martial emperor. Xiao Fan has spatial abilities and saint-level treasures. If he reaches the martial emperor level, his combat power should be able to reach the martial emperor level. With such strength, Xiao Fan will be able to stabilize the situation. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 483 Phoenix and others returned. Xiao Fan was a little confused by what Xiao Hai said. He really hadn't considered this point. If Xiao Hai really ascended to the immortal world, if his strength was not enough, the risk would be high. Don't worry too much, my dear grandson. There are many strong people loyal to Grandpa. Even if Grandpa leaves, they will protect you. Xiao Hai comforted Xiao Fan, but your own strength is tyrannical. This is the most important thing, you can't be lazy in cultivation. Xiao Fan nodded. Grandpa, I have never been lazy in cultivation, but I haven't been particularly hard. Xiao Hai said unhappily, isn't there still a lazy element? When Yue is about to break through to the great martial sect, Grandpa will let her return, and then she will break through in Leishan County. By the way, various factories must be transmitted here as soon as possible. If Grandpa really ascends, your cultivation here will also be high, and it will not be so easy for you to return to Earth. It will be much more difficult to transmit things here. Xiao Fan nodded. The country is already making preparations in this regard, and a lot of heavy machinery will be transmitted over in the next few months. Grandpa, what's the situation over there? Xiao Fan asked. Xiao Hai said with great joy, the Blood Cherry Empire and the East Cherry Empire jointly attacked Hengpu City, and the 300,000-man army lost 250,000. Less than 1,000 of our people died in Hengpu City. We have another 50,000 people on the warships heading to the Blood Cherry Empire. When these 50,000 Shura Legion people go there, we will have 70,000 people over there, and we will be absolutely sure of safety. Xiao Fan's eyes showed surprise. The Blood Cherry Empire and the East Cherry Empire together lost another 250,000 people, and the total death was estimated to be 1 million. My dear grandson, the governance of the Dragon Empire is your business in the future. How do you plan to settle the Blood Cherry Empire and the East Cherry Empire? Xiao Hai asked. Xiao Fan said, Grandpa, we don't need to be impatient in the process of conquering them. Take it slow and continue to consume their young and strong men. They have a total population of more than 30 million, with more than 10 million young and strong men. Only 1 million deaths is far from enough. When they completely collapse and surrender, we can organize their young and strong to deal with the Vulture Empire and others, and further consume them. Once this step is completed, I think the caste system of India can be transplanted there and completely ruin their future. Xiao Hai said, "My dear grandson, you don't plan to completely occupy the Blood Cherry Empire and the East Cherry Empire." Xiao Fan shook his head. "Their islands are poor in resources. Isn't it a reward for them to annex them? Let them become vassal states. They have to pay tribute to the Dragon Empire every year." Xiao Hai smiled and nodded. "Then do as you say, our army will continue to consume their manpower. If we consume another 1 million or 800,000, they will definitely collapse and surrender." After chatting for a while, Xiao Fan opened the transmission channel. Xiao Hai first gave him a lot of dragon energy, and then Feng Huang and others were teleported back. Feng Huang and the others who have high talents have reached the innate level, and those with low talents have reached the acquired level. Their cultivation has greatly increased. Xiao Fan's spiritual power led Feng Huang and the others to the living room of the villa. Feng Huang and the others were in a coma at the moment. "My dear grandson, they will not wake up until half an hour later," Xiao Hai said. Xiao Fan nodded, and he went to the warehouse near the villa. Many things in the warehouse were constantly being transmitted. Among them, the proportion of arms is not small. China is very happy to sell a lot of arms to Xiao Fan. On the one hand, it can make money, on the other hand, large-scale production reduces the cost of CL-20 explosives. CL-20 explosives have a lot of uses, but they are expensive. If the cost is reduced, it will undoubtedly enhance China's military strength. "My dear grandson, I will contact you in 5 days." Still in the spirit cave, Xiao Hai said and then disappeared. Feng Huang and the others were much more advanced in cultivation, so it would cost a lot to teleport them here. Xiao Hai also gave him a lot of dragon energy. "Wake up!" Xiao Fan called out from the living room of the villa. Half an hour had passed. At his call, Feng Huang and the others woke up one after another and saw Xiao Fan. "Master Xiao. Master Xiao, we are back." Feng Huang and the others asked one after another, and they were all overjoyed. Xiao Fan chuckled and said, "Of course you are back. Congratulations. You have all improved your cultivation. How do you feel in the other world?" Feng Huang said sullenly, "Master Xiao, we didn't see the scenery of the other world. We have been practicing there all the time. But practicing in the other world is really fast, more than 100 times faster than practicing on Earth. I don't want to come back." Xiao Fan said unhappily, "Sending you there is not to keep you from coming back. China still needs you. When our China surpasses the United States and stands at the top of the world, I can arrange for you to go to the other world." Feng Huang and the others nodded repeatedly. "Phoenix, I will let Zhong Wei send you back to the imperial capital. Ye Wei is not here now, so you have to maintain network security." Feng Huang said confidently, "Master Xiao, don't worry, our network technology has improved a lot. Their cultivation has increased greatly. They have figured out many things that they couldn't understand before, and they think faster. When they encounter network attacks, they type faster on the keyboard, and can even use mental power to control the keyboard." Soon Feng Huang and the others left by helicopter. There were many people in the villa. They were experts in Xiao Fan's company. Their skills had also improved a lot. Moreover, Xiao Hai had hinted to them that even if an enemy country tried to win them over, they would definitely not betray him. "Everyone, just take a rest here. I arranged a plane to take you back yesterday morning." Xiao Fan smiled. One of the experts said, "Master Xiao, I just want to get back to work immediately. I have many ideas that need to be tested." Another expert also said, "Me too, Master Xiao, can you send us back now? I can't sleep at all now." The others all nodded. "Okay." Xiao Fan dialed the phone. He contacted Lu Zhiheng. "Xiao Fan, what's the emergency? It's 1 o'clock in the morning now." Lu Zhiheng complained when he answered the phone. He had just fallen asleep for a short time. Xiao Fan said, "Uncle Lu, the experts from Tianhe Group have returned. They want to go back to work immediately. Can you arrange a military plane for them? A military airport has now been built near Leishan County. The expert group is back. Is there hope for carbon-based chips?" Lu Zhiheng's eyes showed joy. Chips are controlled by foreign countries, and many aspects of the military are affected. It would be great if China could have top-notch chips. Uncle Lou, there will be no problem with this, but the performance of the chip may not be that strong at the beginning. It's good to have it. Let's solve the problem of whether it exists or not first. You arrange for them to go to the airport, and I will arrange a military plane for you immediately. The airport is not far from Xiao Fan's villa. It didn't take long for Xiao Fan and his team to board a military transport plane. Xiao Fan personally sent these experts back. These experts are all precious, and nothing can happen to them. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 484, talent difference is more than 10 times. Xiao Fan still has a lot of money, but he will need to buy a lot of heavy machinery next, and his money will flow out. Hundreds of billions of US dollars are not enough to spend. The Blue Spirit Pharmacy can bring him a lot of money every month, but this alone is not enough. He needs to make carbon-based chips. When carbon-based chips come out, on the one hand, the country will no longer be controlled by others, on the other hand, he can also make a lot of money. It will be very good to use chips to exchange for heavy machinery. Boss. The military plane landed, and Shen Jingshan arranged a bus to pick them up. Go directly to the company. Before dawn, Xiao Fan and his team returned to the company, and dozens of experts immediately invested in research and development. With the improvement of their cultivation, many things in the past have been figured out, and now they are eager to verify some of their ideas. Uncle Shen, I have told these experts that they will not leave the company for a while, and they will focus on research and development. I will set up formations around the company. The formations will not affect ordinary employees, but will only trap powerful people who want to sneak in. Xiao Fan said to Shen Jingshan. Shen Jingshan nodded, and he breathed a sigh of relief, saying, I'm relieved that these experts have returned. Their research was almost interrupted when they left. There are many voices that are pessimistic about the company, and the stock price has fallen a bit recently. Xiao Fan said calmly, the stock price has risen a lot before, and it is normal to have some corrections. It doesn't have much impact on us. Uncle Shen, is there anything else happening recently? Shen Jingshan said, yes, the United States has joined forces with Dongyang and South Korea to blockade us in the field of high-end chips. In addition, we have received news that the United States has also made considerable progress in carbon-based chips, and we don't have much advantage. Shen Jingshan looked solemn when he said this. If the United States is allowed to come up with it first and register patents one by one, it will be much more difficult for China to develop in the field of carbon-based chips. Xiao Fan smiled faintly and said, it's good that we still have an advantage. Now that this group of experts have returned, our advantage will expand rapidly. Shen Jingshan said, boss, the current capabilities of this group of experts Xiao Fan smiled and said, you will know after a while. From an ordinary person to a congenital or acquired level cultivator, their improvement in all aspects will surprise you. In each laboratory, dozens of experts quickly got busy in their respective fields, and many of their ideas were verified. Research in all aspects was rapidly promoted. Phoenix, I didn't expect your network capabilities to improve so much. Phoenix and the others returned to the base, and Dong Chongai organized a network confrontation, with dozens of people who didn't go to fight against a few of them. As a result, Phoenix and the others won in a short time. Then Phoenix challenged the dozens of people who didn't go alone, and she also won, and it didn't take much time. When the gap in strength is relatively large, it is difficult to make up for it in numbers. Feng Huang laughed and said, boss, I have reached the innate level now, and my skills have improved a lot. Boss, do you think you can give me a raise? Dong Chongai said unhappily, if you don't work for the country, do you think Xiao Fan will send you to another world to improve? Work hard, do more for the country, and you should have the opportunity to go to another world in the future. Feng Huang nodded. If they run away after the improvement, their future trip to another world will definitely fail, and their cultivation may even be abolished. Everyone, get to work. Feng Huang and the others got busy. There are many loopholes and Trojans on China's network. They started to repair and clean them up from important official websites one by one. After patching the loopholes and clearing the Trojans, China's network defense will be much stronger and the losses will be greatly reduced when it encounters network attacks in the future. The United States. Leader, our intelligence shows that China's network is being strengthened. They seem to have several powerful network experts. In addition, there is a military plane from Leishan County to the Magic City, and a bus picked up many people to the experimental base of Tianhe Group. Someone came to Joseph to report. Joseph frowned. It should be that some people from China who went to the other world have returned, and their strength has improved. Leader, there are dozens of them. It takes a lot of resources to improve their cultivation in such a short time. The person in front of Joseph said, why can the Dragon Empire give such great support? Or are the Chinese improving faster? Joseph pondered and said, whether the Chinese improve faster, we will know soon. Last time, they sent a Chinese to the other world through the Spirit Cave. They originally sent Professor Milo and several other people to the other world, but their improvement in the other world was not particularly fast. The other world is full of spiritual energy and has many resources. Professor Milo and his team will definitely improve much faster if they go there, but not fast enough. Let our people check their cultivation. Joseph said in a deep voice. Yes, leader. It shouldn't be difficult to investigate this. The dozens of experts from Tianhe Group will definitely contact their families. A few hours passed in a blink of an eye. At the border between the United States and Canada, an SS-level spiritual cave controlled by the United States was opened, and someone was teleported over from the spiritual cave. Mess, Shaman, what's going on over there? A general from the United States asked at the spiritual cave. The woman who was teleported over was called Shamanli, and she had been here several times. Shamanli said, the results are out. The Chinese man you will send over later will practice more than 10 times faster. His talent is much stronger. The American general's face changed, more than 10 times stronger. Shamanli nodded, that's right. Your Majesty suggests that you don't look for Chinese, but find someone who grew up in China to send over. Maybe his practice speed will be faster. The American general said, we have a Chinese here, he admires our American culture very much. You can let him be transferred over later. Shamanli nodded, if his practice speed is also much faster or even faster, we have to hurry to find out the reason. According to your Majesty's judgment, there are 2 possibilities. The first is that the Chinese have stronger blood, the second is related to diet. The American general said, it must be due to diet. If it is due to blood reasons, then it would be terrible news. Shamanli said, I hope so. You should prepare more food from China, and we will verify it when the time comes. By the way, there is a situation in the Blood Sakura Empire and the East Sakura Empire. They besieged Hingpu City with 300,000 people and killed 250,000 people. Your Majesty hopes that you in the United States can provide mushroom bombs. Give the mushroom bombs to the people of the Blood Sakura Empire and let them deal with the Dragon Empire. The continued development of the Dragon Empire is a serious threat to our Vulture Empire, and it is also a huge threat to you in the United States. The American general said in a deep voice, I can't make the decision on the mushroom bomb. The use of mushroom bombs may cause a world war. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 485 improved SSS level evolution fluid Shamanli said, we got the mushroom bombs so that the Blood Cherry Empire can use them on its own territory. This is unlikely to cause a world war. The Dragon Empire is now in an all-out war with the Blood Cherry Empire. It is normal for them to get mushroom bombs to use. The American general said in a deep voice, MS, Shaman, we have a lot of mushroom bombs in the United States, and China also has a lot. You use this to deal with the Dragon Empire. If the Dragon Empire gets it, it may grow mushrooms in your imperial city. Shamanli frowned and said, didn't you use it in the United States back then? The American general looked helpless. The current situation is different from that time. Back then, only we had mushroom bombs, but now several countries have mushroom bombs. You are stronger than the Dragon Empire, and we are stronger than China. We have the advantage, so don't take risks like this. Shamanli said in a deep voice, but the Dragon Empire is developing too fast. If it is not curbed, it is very likely to surpass our Vulture Empire. The American general said, don't you have many allies in the Vulture Empire? Unite with them to help the Blood Cherry Empire. If they don't help, you can sanction them. We have rich experience in this regard and can share it with you. Shamanli nodded slightly. Now the only country that is aiding them is the Vulture Empire. They are under a lot of pressure. If they bring in other countries, the pressure will be much less. Here is this for you. A USB flash drive appeared in Shamanli's hand. MS, Sally, what is this? Shamanli said, this is the information about the SSS-level evolutionary fluid that Professor Milo and some people from our Vulture Empire have improved. Professor Milo and others also need some other research equipment. The list is also in here. Please send it over next time. The eyes of the American general lit up. Has the evolutionary fluid improved a lot? Shamanli nodded. Ordinary people directly use the SSS-level evolutionary fluid, and the success rate has reached 5%. The success rate of SS-level evolutionists is 39%, and the success rate of S-level evolutionists is also 21%. The American general was surprised and said, "You don't have a supercomputer over there, how did you get this data?" It turned out that their data was obtained by supercomputer simulation and analysis. Shamanli said in a calm voice, "Our Vulture Empire has provided a lot of resources, and we also captured 3,000 people from the Blood Cherry Empire for experiments. The war over there is very chaotic, and they won't know if there are 3,000 fewer people." The American general secretly took a breath of cold air. Wow, they captured 3,000 people for experimentation. The Vulture Empire is really ruthless. With so many test subjects and the funding from the Vulture Empire, it is normal for Professor Milo and his team to improve the SSS-level evolutionary fluid. The success rate for SS-level evolvers is 39%, which is not low and much better than before. "Mess, Samantha, where is the Wuong-level evolutionary fluid?" the American general asked. The SSS-level evolutionary fluid is only at the Great Wuzong level. Although evolvers of this level are very strong, they are not as strong as Xiao Fan. In addition, a Wuong-level monster has already appeared on Earth. Shamanli shook her head. There has been no progress in the Marshall King-level evolution fluid. Even if it is produced, the success rate will be very low. Why? Shamanli said, the evolution fluid is to tap their potential, and the potential is limited. The SSS level has basically reached its limit. When you have cultivated to a certain level, and then use the Marshall King level evolution fluid, the chance of reaching the Marshall King level will be much higher. The American general frowned. Then this will be useful to the future of your Vulture Empire, but not very useful to us. Shamanli said, the materials needed for the Marshall King level evolution fluid are very precious, and you may not be able to afford it by then. It's a good thing for you that our Vulture Empire is becoming stronger. The American general nodded slightly. Of course, he hoped that the United States would become stronger. If there was no other way, it would be good for the Vulture Empire, an ally, to become stronger. Where are the things I asked you to prepare last time? Soon some things were transmitted to the other world. Shamanli did not return this time, but the relevant videos were transmitted. Are you asking for mushroom bombs again? Joseph got the news and frowned secretly. Alliance leader, I feel that the Vulture Empire not only wants to target the Dragon Empire, but also wants to test the power of mushroom bombs. The environment of the two worlds is different. Maybe mushroom bombs can't be used there. A strongman next to Joseph said. Joseph nodded slightly. If it is verified that mushroom bombs cannot be used in the other world, it will not be a good thing for the Earth. Although conventional weapons are effective in suppressing strength, their deterrent power is definitely far less than that of mushroom bombs. They can now have an equal dialogue with the Vulture Empire, and a big credit lies in the mushroom bomb. One of these things can destroy a city. Alliance leader, I'm a little worried. There are more than 10,000 mushroom bombs on our Earth. Sooner or later, they will be obtained, and when the mushroom bombs arrive, they will flow to the other world. Joseph frowned. This is indeed a big problem. All countries have strict management of mushroom bombs, but the strong people from the other world are not weak, and those bases can't stop them. It is impossible to store mushroom bombs in a centralized manner. In that case, the strategic deterrent effect will be lost, and if they are discovered by the enemy, all mushroom bombs may be destroyed. Mushroom bombs should not be useless in the other world. Joseph said. Leader, it's really hard to say. The only explosives that can be used in the other world are CL-20 explosives. Joseph took a deep breath. Don't worry about that. First produce more SSS-level evolutionary fluids, cultivate more SSS-level evolvers, and deal with Xiao Fen first. Several bases in the United States have obtained the information, and they are fully committed to producing SSS-level evolutionary fluids. The original cost of SSS-level evolutionary fluids was very high. After the improvement of the evolutionary fluid, the success rate has increased and the cost has also been reduced a lot. In just 3 days, several bases in the United States spent a huge amount of money to produce a total of 50 SSS-level evolutionary fluids. They will be provided to S-level and SS-level evolvers. Everyone, this is the improved SSS-level evolutionary fluid, and its success rate is 39%. Even if it doesn't succeed, there is still a good chance of survival. We need more SSS-level strongmen in the United States. If you become an SSS-level evolver, you can become a supermaster. Joseph first summoned a dozen SS-level evolvers. Some of these SS-level evolvers did not want to use it, but they were soldiers, and they had already signed the agreement. Their families have received a lot of money, and they need to cooperate with the experiment. I'll go first. An SS-level evolver said in a deep voice. 39% success rate, this is much higher than before. I don't believe my luck will be so bad. Time passed by minute, and the first batch of 5 SS-level evolvers were injected with SSS-level evolutionary fluid, and they transformed crazily in the energy fluid. After most of the day, 2 of the 5 SS-level evolvers succeeded, 2 died, and 1 became disabled. Not bad. Joseph said in his heart. 2 of the 5 people succeeded, with a probability of 40%. In the blink of an eye, it was the next day. The other SS-level evolvers also used the SSS-level evolutionary fluid, and 4 more succeeded. There were a total of 15 SS-level evolvers, and 6 reached the SSS level. When the SS-level evolvers used the SSS-level evolutionary fluid, the S-level evolvers also used it, and a total of 7 succeeded. In a short period of time, the United States added 13 SSS-level evolvers, and there were originally 5, for a total of 18 SSS-level evolvers. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 486 Xiaofen meets Shen Jingtian and others. Hello, leader. 18 SSS-level evolvers gathered. When Joseph arrived, the 18 of them stood up and shouted in unison. Sit down, everyone. Joseph said in a deep voice. He swept his eyes over and said, you are all lucky to have become SSS-level evolvers. You will defend the United States and the civilized world. At this point, Joseph turned on the projector. Xiaofan's figure suddenly appeared on the projection screen. You should all know this person, Xiaofan from China, who destroyed our American warships and stole our B-2 bombers. He also sent many Chinese weapons to the other world. He is a war element and a destroyer of peace between the two worlds. His existence is a huge threat to our United States and the entire free and civilized world. Now it's time to get rid of him. With 18 SSS-level evolvers, Joseph is now confident that he can deal with Xiaofan. Your mission is this: go to Leishan County, China, surround Xiaofan's villa, and send him to see Satan. Someone stood up, leader, they don't have Satan in China, we should send him to see their king of hell. Ha ha. The others laughed out loud. They all knew that Xiaofan was very powerful, but now they had 18 SSS-level evolvers, and they were full of confidence. Joseph said, if he is killed by you, he might be controlled by Satan. Another person said, leader, shouldn't we destroy his spirit cave in the East China Sea first? He uses that spirit cave to transmit warships to another world. That spirit cave is far from the land, and destroying that spirit cave won't kill many people. It will be a heavy blow to Xiaofan. Joseph shook his head. After all, Xiaofan has the strength of a martial king, and he has a strong ability to escape. You have to target him first, surround him and kill him. The spirit cave won't run away. If we get rid of him, the spirit cave they built may be used by us in the United States. Everyone nodded. That spirit cave is above the East China Sea, 200 or 300 kilometers away from the land. If they get rid of Xiaofan, they may really be able to occupy it. Leader, if we don't surround Xiaofan, what if Xiaofan runs away? Someone else asked. Joseph's eyes gleamed. More than one of you can set up the barrier, he shouldn't be able to escape so easily. If he escapes, you can threaten him by detonating the spirit cave. The spirit cave in Leishan County is likely to have reached SS level. If a spirit cave of this level is detonated, Leishan County will be gone, and Z City, dozens of kilometers away, will probably be greatly affected. Everyone nodded. Everyone, for the sake of world peace, Xiaofan must die. Joseph was murderous. Soon, the 18 SSS-level masters from the United States set off. In order to ensure success, all of their SSS-level masters went out in full force. On the Chinese side, Qing Xinghua and his entire village came to Xiao Fan's villa, from the elderly in their 80s and 90s to the 3-year-old children. Dong dong dong. At 12 o'clock in the evening, Xiao Fan's mirror in the master bedroom was knocked, and Xiao Hai's figure appeared in the mirror. My dear grandson, Yuwei's cultivation has reached the perfection of Wuzong, and she is only one step away from the great Wuzong. She is returning this time. Xiao Hai smiled. Xiao Fan showed surprise in his eyes. Grandpa, Weiwei's improvement is so fast. I thought she would need 10 days. Xiao Hai smiled and said, she got a very good inheritance. Although she only digested a little bit, it also made her improvement much faster. Xiao Fan said, Grandpa, I have asked the villagers to gather together, and they are ready to teleport over. Yes. Xiao Hai nodded. Yuwei has returned, and they are teleporting over. It's not a big problem. The cultivation of those people in the village is very low. Grandpa, then I will open the spirit cave. Xiao Fan soon opened the spirit cave, and Su Yuwei teleported over first. It is worth mentioning that Su Yuwei's treasure had not been teleported before, so it would be much easier to teleport. Husband. Su Yuwei sent a voice message to Xiao Fan. This time the time away was not that long, but Su Yuwei also missed him. Wife, let's get down to business first. I'll play games with you later. Xiao Fan sent a voice message. Su Yuwei's face was slightly red, and she quickly went to her room. Qing Xinghua and others received Xiao Fan's voice transmission and walked to the second floor of the villa. Seeing Xiao Hai in the mirror, they widened their eyes. Uncle Cheng, hurry up and pass through. The mirror can be passed through. Yang Chen, you are the first to set an example for everyone. Xiao Fan ordered. Yang Chen nodded. He approached the mirror and stretched out his hand. How amazing. Yang Chen saw that his hand actually stretched into the mirror. What are you waiting for? Hurry up. Yang Chen's father shouted. Yang Chen quickly got into the mirror and disappeared. Xiao Fan's village is relatively small, with only 100 people in the whole village. It didn't take long for them all to be teleported over. Xiao Hai's face turned pale. Even with the assistance of a few strong men, even if the spirit cave is now SS level, it is not easy to teleport Su Yuwei back and Qing Xinghua and the other 100 people over. My dear grandson, let me introduce you to a few people. Xiao Hai said. Although his face was pale, as long as he didn't transmit anything, it wouldn't be a problem to chat. He often vomited blood when teleporting before. Du Qingchuan, Shen Jingtian, Meng Yi and others came to Xiao Hai. Meet your highness. Seeing Xiao Fan in the mirror, Du Qingchuan and others hurriedly saluted. They knew what Xiao Fan looked like, and now they all knew that Xiao Fan was Xiao Hai's grandson and would be the emperor of the Dragon Empire in the future. Your highness. Xiao Fan felt a little strange. Du Qingchuan smiled and said, Your highness, you are the grandson of His Majesty, and you will be the crown prince of the empire in the future. Of course, we have to call you Your Highness. Your Highness, I am Du Qingchuan, the Prime Minister of the Shenlong Empire. Shen Jingtian said, Your Highness, I am Shen Jingtian, the General of the Shenlong Empire. Your Highness, I am Meng Yi, the General of the Shenlong Empire. Meng Yi and the others also saluted. Xiao Fan nodded. No need to be polite, everyone, you have made great contributions to the Shenlong Empire, and Grandpa and I will not treat you unfairly. Xiao Hai said, My dear grandson, you should meet Prime Minister Du first, and you will spend a lot of time with them in the future. Soon, Xiao Hai and the others disappeared. Not only Xiao Hai, but Shen Jingtian and the others also consumed a lot of energy. Wife, come here quickly, let's take a bath together. Xiao Fan sent a voice message to Su Yuwei. Su Yuwei went to the master bedroom with a serious expression. Honey, I found something unusual. The US has a breakthrough in SSS-level evolutionary fluid, and they have 13 more SSS-level evolvers. The US now has 18 SSS-level evolvers, and I found out that some of the people on a flight have issues with their identities. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 487 18 SSS evolvers attack. Xiao Fan's eyes showed a solemn look. 18 SSS-level evolvers. The number of SSS-level evolvers in the United States has increased so much. Husband, their plane is flying to the Magic City, and it is only 3 or 4 hours away from landing. Their target is not clear at the moment. Su Yue said. Xiao Fan frowned. There are several possible targets for the evolvers in the United States. The first is of course their side, and the second is the East China Sea Spirit Cave. The third is the experimental base of Tianhe Group. The possibility of the third target is much lower. After all, if the United States does this, their own high-tech company will also suffer. As for the first and second targets, both are very likely. The East China Sea Spirit Cave is on the sea, and the United States is completely likely to destroy the East China Sea Spirit Cave, so that they cannot send warships to the other world. Husband, where should we defend? Su Yue asked. 18 SSS-level evolvers are coming to kill them. They can gather their strength to resist, but they can only gather in one place. They can only choose one between the East China Sea Spirit Cave and Leishan County. Xiao Fan shook his head. We are too passive if we defend one and give up the other. I won't defend either of the 2 spirit caves. Honey, let's go to the United States for a trip. Su Yue looked at Xiao Fan in confusion. Going on a trip at this time? Xiao Fan chuckled and said, I haven't taken you abroad for a trip yet. The United States is still worth a visit. Let's go to Washington. Check which flight is the nearest to Washington, D.C. Su Yue didn't know what Xiao Fan was up to, but she checked it immediately. Honey, the nearest flight will leave in 2.5 hours. With your speed, it will be no problem for us to fly there. Su Yue said. Xiao Fan smiled and said, Wei, do you want to play games on the plane? It must be exciting to play games on the plane. Ah, Su Yue's face turned red. Bad guy. Ding. Xiao Fan contacted Su Dong. Boss. Su Dong quickly answered the phone. He was a little surprised. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. Why did Xiao Fan call at this time? Su Dong, who is at the East China Sea Spirit Cave now? Xiao Fan asked. Su Dong said, Boss, Yaya is here. Xiao Fan said, you and Yaya go to Ryukyu and completely paralyze the U.S. aircraft carrier there. Don't move the other warships. Su Dong's eyes showed shock. Actively attack the U.S. aircraft carrier? Although they are not afraid of the U.S. conventional weapons, the U.S. has a huge nuclear arsenal. Yes, boss. Although he was shocked, Su Dong did not ask much. He agreed directly and set off quickly with Yaya. The East China Sea Spirit Cave is not far from the Ryukyu base. Yaya took Su Dong to the sea and arrived in a few hours. Husband, attack their aircraft carrier at this time. Su Yue said. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. Usually attacking their aircraft carrier is easy to trigger a nuclear war, but the situation is different at this time. They have 18 SSS-level strongmen who took the initiative to kill us. It is natural for us to attack their aircraft carrier. Even if they destroy one of their aircraft carriers, they can only admit defeat. The probability of them turning the table to provoke a nuclear war is very low. Su Yue nodded. If they take the initiative to attack, the United States will have to respond, otherwise the remaining aircraft carriers may be attacked. Now it is the United States that takes the initiative to provoke. Husband, I know what you mean. We are going to the United States at this time to show that we are not in China. On the other hand, it is also a deterrent to the United States. Su Yue said. Xiao Fan pinched Su Yue's pretty face. My wife is really smart. Let's go. Don't miss the flight. 2 hours later, Xiao Fan and Su Yue quietly boarded a plane. There were many empty seats on this plane. They sat in the back row, and there were no other passengers around. Boom. Not long after, the plane took off. 2 hours later, the plane that Xiao Fan and his friends were on was already over the ocean, and the plane that the American evolvers were on landed. The last time I came to China was 10 years ago. The development of Longhua is really improving day by day. We can't let them develop like this. If we kill Xiao Fan, China will have no top powerhouses. Then we will kill all the powerful Chinese powerhouses. The American SSS-level evolvers talked about it. The 18 SSS-level evolvers acted together, and they were all full of confidence. This time they would not stop until they killed Xiao Fan. Honey, the American evolvers have arrived in the Magic City. They have arrived in an area without surveillance. I have lost their trace. Su Yue rested her head on Xiao Fan's shoulder and sent a voice message to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan looked around and saw that no one was looking at them. Xiao Fan took out his phone and took a selfie of himself and Su Yue. Yue, send a message using my Douyin account. We are going to the United States for vacation and will check in at the Black Palace and other places in the United States. Xiao Fan sent a voice message. Su Yue nodded. International flights have internet access, and Su Yue soon sent a Douyin message. It was early in the morning, but there were still many night owls. People who followed Xiao Fan soon saw photos of Xiao Fan and his friends. Photos are not important, what's important is the accompanying text. Master Xiao and Su Yue are traveling to the United States. What's going on? Maybe Master Xiao is just showing off his affection. To be honest, if Master Xiao and Su Yue were going on a trip, there was no need to go to the United States. He also said that he would check in near the Black Palace. The internet immediately exploded. In a short time, this piece of news became a hot search. Many intelligence personnel from various countries paid attention to Xiao Fan, and they also got the news. Dong dong. One of Joseph's men quickly arrived at his office. Alliance leader, Xiao Fan, and Su Yue are now on the plane. They should be flying to our United States. They are going to the Black Palace to check in. Joseph's men quickly reported. What? Joseph's face changed. Xiao Fan actually came to the United States, and he was going to the Black Palace. Did the news of their 18 SSS-level strongmen being dispatched leak? If their strongmen destroyed the Spirit Cave of China, Xiao Fan might also take action, and then the loss of their United States would definitely be not small. Grand Commander, Joseph reported the news. On the other end of the phone, the Grand Commander of the United States was shocked when he got the news, but he thought Xiao Fan was probably just bluffing. Joseph, are you sure our strongmen are ahead now? The Grand Commander of the United States said in a deep voice. Joseph said, Commander-in-Chief, we now have 18 SSS-level evolvers, we should have the upper hand. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief said coldly, in this case, you continue to act, but the first target is the East Sea Spirit Cave. Okay, Commander-in-Chief. Joseph said. Their people are still in the Magic City, not far from the East Sea Spirit Cave, and they have no problem destroying the East Sea Spirit Cave. Midline Horizontal Ellipsis Chapter 488 Ryukyu Base was attacked. Soon, the 18 SSS-level evolvers in the United States received the order. They were now in China, and it was not possible to go there by helicopter, and it was too slow to go there by boat, so they chose to walk on water. Some of these 18 SSS-level evolvers can fly short distances, but most of them can't, but they have no problem walking on water. SSS-level evolvers are equivalent to the Grandmaster level of China. In the blink of an eye, more than half an hour passed, and these SSS-level evolvers had traveled hundreds of kilometers, and they were still moving at high speed. Husband, Su Dong and Yi arrived at the Ryukyu base. Su Yue transmitted the voice. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. If they simply went to the United States might think they were bluffing and thought they didn't dare to turn the table over. Su Dong and Yi destroyed one of their aircraft carriers, and they knew how powerful they were. Yi, you take action to destroy that aircraft carrier. If you take action and encounter other strong men, I will help you again. Su Dong pointed to the huge aircraft carrier not far away and said. Yi. Yi nodded. Su Dong taught Yaya and the others whenever he had nothing to do. Now Yaya and the others had no problem understanding simple Chinese. Splash. Yaya sank into the water. It approached the aircraft carrier by water escape. This way of moving was not easy to be detected by the radar on the warship. Wow. When it was near the aircraft carrier, Yaya rushed out of the sea in an instant, and its body jumped high and landed on the deck. There were many fighters parked on the deck. Yaya. Yaya called out. One by one, water balls appeared around it, and soon those water balls bombarded the fighters at a very fast speed. Boom. Boom. The water was very soft, but the speed of the water balls shot out by Yaya was comparable to that of artillery shells, and fighters were blown up on the deck. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! The aircraft carrier was in chaos. The entire naval base soon became chaotic. In a short time, many fighters on the deck were blown up by Yaya, and it quickly rushed into the hangar inside the aircraft carrier. Boom. Boom. Soon, fighters also exploded in the hangar. The hangar is a closed space. Several fighters exploded. Without Yaya's help, the rest of the fighters were detonated one after another. In a short time, dozens of fighters in the hangar of the aircraft carrier were destroyed, and some places on the aircraft carrier were blown out. Yaya was very excited. It quickly went to the command room of the aircraft carrier, and soon the command room of the aircraft carrier was completely destroyed. Then Yaya went to the power cabin. Not long after, the power system of this aircraft carrier was severely damaged by Yaya, and it would take more than a year or two to recover. Ding ding ding. The Commander-in-Chief of the United States quickly got the news. Their base in Ryukyu was actually attacked by a monster, and that monster destroyed their aircraft carrier in a short time. Damn it. The Commander-in-Chief of the United States looked very ugly. He was sure that the monster must be controlled by Xiao Fan. What do you think we should do now? The Commander-in-Chief of the United States asked his think tank members. They have 18 SSS-level evolvers, and there may be more top powerhouses. In his opinion, Xiao Fan should give in. They just endured the destruction of the Donghai Spirit Cave. Unexpectedly, Xiao Fan directly controlled the monsters to attack their aircraft carriers. Isn't Xiao Fan afraid of setting off a global nuclear war? Commander-in-Chief, our former strong men provoked him. He is warning us. If we continue, he is likely to continue. The risk of a global nuclear war will increase dramatically. A member of the think tank said. Another person said, Commander-in-Chief, I don't think it is appropriate to provoke Xiao Fan now. He is now on a plane to our United States. If he frantically destroys all our aircraft carriers, will we really have a nuclear war? If a nuclear war breaks out, we will die, but he won't. He has now evacuated the people in the village, and seems to be ready to fight us to the end. Everyone in the think tank spoke up. They didn't want a nuclear war. The US president said angrily, you mean, one of our aircraft carriers was destroyed, and we have to bear it? Ahem. President, Xiao Fan and Suyo Wei are on the plane now, and he has sufficient evidence to show that he was not the one who did it. President, either we bear it or we continue, and then more aircraft carriers will be destroyed, and we can only choose a nuclear war. Xiao Fan is a cunning guy. He took action after we acted first, and he gave us a reason to compromise. Everyone in the think tank spoke up. The US president had a dark face. He didn't want a nuclear war. If a nuclear war started, they would probably die, but Xiao Fan would not die. Ding. The US president called Joseph. Joseph was scolded. If they didn't leak the news, it would be better to kill Xiao Fan directly. Withdraw our people and stop the plan to destroy the East China Sea Spirit Cave. The US president said coldly, and he hung up the phone after he finished speaking. Alas. Joseph sighed. He knew that he was not wrong for the scolding. He already knew the situation at the Ryukyu base. An aircraft carrier was lost. Dozens of fighters on the aircraft carrier were also destroyed. Compared with the previous destruction of several warships and the theft of 2 B-2s, the loss this time was more than 10 times greater. Ding. Joseph dialed the phone. Some of the 18 people in the operation carried a top-secret satellite phone, which had never been used before. Cancel the operation. Joseph said in a deep voice after the call was connected. Why, leader? We are not far from the East China Sea Spirit Cave. We can definitely destroy the East China Sea Spirit Cave. The SSS-level evolver who answered the phone said unwillingly. Joseph took a deep breath and said, one of our aircraft carriers at the Ryukyu base was attacked, and Xiao Fan is also heading to the United States. Hiss. On the other end of the phone, the 18 SSS-level evolvers heard Joseph's voice, and some of them took a breath of cold air. Xiao Fan was so bold. Before killing Xiao Fan, we can't touch his spirit cave, otherwise all our aircraft carriers will be his targets. You evacuate quickly. And after you arrive in the Magic City, don't hide your whereabouts too much. Joseph said in a deep voice. Leader, we have suffered heavy losses. Are we just going to give up? Someone said unwillingly. Joseph said, Xiao Fan is an orphan. His friends and even people in his village have been sent to another world by him. He is not afraid of starting a nuclear war. Are you afraid? Everyone was silent. They all have relatives and friends. Of course they are afraid of nuclear war, but they don't have the ability to send relatives and friends to another world. Retreat immediately. This is the order issued by the commander-in-chief. Joseph hung up the phone after speaking. Fuck. Damn Xiao Fan. This guy is a lunatic. He actually destroyed our aircraft carrier. Many of the 18 SSS-level evolvers cursed. They were helpless to encounter such an opponent who did not play by the rules. Retreat. The leading SSS-level evolver took a deep breath and said. They couldn't afford the consequences of continuing the operation. Husband, we intercepted Joseph's conversation with those SSS-level evolvers in the United States, and they will stop the operation. They originally wanted to destroy the East China Sea Spirit Cave first. Su Yewei transmitted a message to Xiao Fan. Joseph didn't deliberately keep the contact secret this time. He needed Su Yewei to get the news and needed Xiao Fan to stop the operation. The Ryukyu base not only had aircraft carriers, but also many other warships, and there were also many American soldiers stationed there. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 489. The frustrated evolvers. Xiao Fan smiled faintly. The United States temporarily retreated, which was what he expected. An accident with an aircraft carrier was already a heavy blow to the United States. If the other aircraft carriers also had accidents, the hegemony would be greatly affected. If the aircraft carrier was damaged, the entire fleet would not be easy to dispatch. Use the strong to replace the aircraft carrier to maintain hegemony. Before he died, the United States did not have such ability. And the mighty aircraft carrier fleet looked even more intimidating. The United States is not only led by the US president, but there are also many interest groups behind him. Are those people willing to start a nuclear war? Besides, he and Su Yewei are on a plane to the United States at this moment, and the bigwigs in the United States must consider this. Wife, keep a close eye on their movements. Americans like to go back on their words. Xiao Fan transmitted. Yeah. Su Yewei nodded gently. She was monitoring the network. Feng Wang and the others were also in action, and any problems could be discovered quickly. Crap. Our United States is the only superpower in the world. Now we have 18 SSS-level warriors taking action, and we have to compromise. We also lost an aircraft carrier. The 18 SSS-level evolvers arrived on land. They cursed one by one, and this matter made them very upset. Everyone, how about we go to the Chinese imperial capital? One of the SSS-level evolvers suggested. I agree. Isn't Xiao Fan going to our American Black Palace? Let's go to the outside of the Chinese imperial capital, Zijing City, to see the scenery. We can vent our anger when we go there. Soon everyone unanimously decided to set off for the Chinese imperial capital. Not long after, they boarded a high-speed train to the imperial capital. Originally, they planned to sneak into the plane and take a plane, but the route from the Chinese Magic City to the imperial capital is a popular route with very few extra seats. Xiao Fan destroyed one of our aircraft carriers. Do you think we should destroy their high-speed train to warn them? One of them whispered, with a cold light flashing in his eyes. Gress, do you want to start a world war? If we do this, Xiao Fan will definitely continue to destroy our aircraft carriers. We can't protect so many aircraft carriers if we disperse them. Another person frowned. Gress said, there are so many high-speed trains in China. If we destroy one, Xiao Fan may be afraid to do anything else. What if he does something? He destroyed our bases, destroyed our warships, and now destroyed our aircraft carriers. Do you want to bet that such a madman will not dare to do anything? He can bear the consequences of a global nuclear war, but we can't. The person who just persuaded said again. Greece's face was gloomy. Are we going to suffer such a huge loss in vain? I'm so anxious that I want to go on a killing spree. The leader of the 18 people was called Stanford. He frowned and said, the higher-ups are even angrier than us, but this is the only way. We joined forces to act and made the first move. Xiao Fan targeted our aircraft carrier. This is his response to our move. If we fight back, the conflict will turn into a war. That bastard Xiaofan should have wanted to target our aircraft carrier a long time ago, just waiting for us to make a move and give him enough excuses to act. Grease cursed, the one who strikes first will suffer a loss, damn. Stanford frowned and said, if we kill Xiaofan directly, we will win. If he counterattacks us, we will lose. Grease, control your temper. You're not the only one who's angry. We're all very angry, but the higher-ups have made a decision and we are soldiers and must strictly abide by it. Grace nodded frustratedly. He knew very well that if he disobeyed the army, even if he was an SSS-level evolver, he would definitely die. Husband, those evolvers from the United States boarded a high-speed train to the imperial capital, and it is expected to arrive in about 5 hours. Su Yowei sent a voice message to Xiaofan. The evolvers from the United States did not hide their whereabouts too much. Xiaofan raised his eyebrows. They planned to check in at the Black Palace, and there was nothing wrong with the evolvers from the United States going to the imperial capital. As long as they don't mess around, let them go. If they mess around, they will know how powerful they are. Su Yowei's eyes showed worry. Husband, Grandpa, and Grandma are in the imperial capital, will the evolvers from the United States target them? Don't worry, they definitely won't. It's not like they don't have family, they don't dare to mess around. We can't provide protection anytime and anywhere, we can only deter the enemy, and use this method to make the enemy dare not mess around. Xiaofan sent a voice message to comfort. Su Yowei said sullenly, it's a pity that Grandpa doesn't want to leave China, otherwise it would be a good choice to let Grandpa and his friends go to the other world. Wei, Grandpa is doing this for us. The elders are quite confident in us, but there will definitely be some objections from the top management. Grandpa feels much more at ease if they stay. We let all the people with connections go to the other world. Some people may doubt our position. This is not a small problem. Xiaofan transmitted the message. Su Yowei's eyes showed surprise, there is also this layer. People are complicated. If Grandpa and his friends all leave, the elders and their friends may have some ideas. They can't think too much in their position. Xiaofan chuckled. He will succeed to the throne as emperor in the future. He thinks more about some things and his perspective is much higher than that of ordinary people. Wei, who will arrive first, us or them? It should be about the same. A few hours passed in a blink of an eye, and Xiaofan and his friend's plane landed at Newtown International Airport, which is not far from Washington, D.C. Teleport. Xiaofan took Su Yowei to teleport several times. They were 100 kilometers away, and there were only more than 200 kilometers left to Washington. A faint feather appeared behind Xiaofan, and the wings flapped. He held Su Yowei and moved forward at a very fast speed. Su Yowei can now fly short distances, but not as long as Xiaofan. Hubby, you are so fast. Su Yowei exclaimed. Xiaofan coughed lightly. Wei, you are wrong to say that. How can I be fast? I don't know who is begging for mercy. Su Yowei blushed. She rolled her eyes at Xiaofan coquettishly. More than half an hour later, Xiaofan and his team arrived in Washington, and the high-speed rail taken by those evolvers in the United States also arrived in the imperial capital of China. Teleport. Flying in the city is not so convenient. Xiaofan took Su Yowei and teleported directly to a place very close to the hacker. There are now many new police officers here, and many roads are blocked. Xiaofan, go back to China. Ugly yellow monkey, don't come to our great United States. We don't welcome you in the United States, go back. On the street not far from the Black Palace, tens of thousands of people marched in a mighty manner. They held banners and signs, and many people shouted slogans. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 490 Su Yowei goes mad. Su Yowei frowned, she was angry. Xiaofan is the strongest man in the world, these people actually did this, they don't take Xiaofan, the strongest man, seriously. I want to teach them a lesson. Husband, don't show up, I'll beat them to a pulp. It's obviously their people who acted first, we just fought back. Su Yowei said angrily. Xiaofan smiled lightly, there are many people who oppose me abroad, you should know this situation, why are you so excited? Su Yowei said angrily, I just saw it on the internet before, the feeling was not so obvious, now I'm very angry and want to hit someone. And the Americans want to kill you, I'll show my strength. Xiao Fan said, our China is a country of etiquette. First talk about etiquette, they are unreasonable, then you can attack them. Su Yuwei's eyes lit up. Will those guys be reasonable? She doesn't think so. Husband, then don't show up, I'm afraid they will be scared away if you show up. I'll talk to them. Su Yuwei waved her fist and said. Xiao Fan said with a smile, okay, just don't beat them to death. Aren't many people online saying that medical care in the United States is free? If you are disabled, you can recover by staying for a few months. Su Yuwei said, some guys curse too much. What if I hit them a little harder and killed them? Su Yuwei wanted to kill those who called Xiao Fan a yellow monkey. Xiao Fan said in a calm voice, it's their bad luck if they are beaten to death. Wei, just go ahead and do it later. I'll take care of anything. Yeah. The two were now invisible. Su Yuwei quickly lifted the invisibility, and she appeared at a high point. Everyone! Su Yuwei shouted in English. A large number of people in the march saw her immediately. Xiao Fan and Su Yuwei are now very well known. Many people immediately recognized Su Yuwei, and many people cursed. Get out of the United States. Su Yuwei, you and Xiao Fan, get out now. Many people are afraid of powerful monsters, but many people present are not afraid of Xiao Fan, Su Yuwei, and others. In their view, the United States is still the undisputed global hegemon. Su Yuwei took a deep breath and said, everyone, not long ago, many SSS-level evolvers from your country went to China. Shouldn't we appear on your side? It's not good for you to be like this now. Can you all go home? Only Su Yuwei stood up, Xiao Fan did not stand up, and because of the large number of people, the people in the parade did not take Su Yuwei seriously at all. Su Yuwei, if you want us to disperse, you can just stand there and do a striptease. That's a good idea, I agree. Hurry up and dance, or get out of our country. Many people shouted in vulgar language. Su Yuwei's face turned cold. Xiao Fan sent a voice message to Su Yuwei, Wei, you can focus on it. It doesn't matter if you kill 300 or 500 people. Yeah. Su Yuwei was ready to take action. At this moment, someone in the crowd fired a black gun at Su Yuwei. Bang, bang. The other party fired 2 shots in a row, and 2 bullets shot at Su Yuwei. Xiao Fan had shown his great strength in public, but Su Yuwei had not. It was said on the internet that Su Yuwei was quite strong, but that was just a rumor. Humph. Su Yuwei snorted coldly. She caught 2 bullets in her hand. You are too much. I am very angry. The next second, Su Yuwei rushed into the flock of sheep like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Crack, crack. Puff. People around Su Yuwei kept falling to the ground. Some of them had multiple fractures all over their bodies, and some had their hearts exploded and vomited blood and fell to the ground and died. Just now, Su Yuwei used her divine thoughts to cover these people. She wrote down the people who said the most excessive things in her little notebook. Wife, your strength has improved a lot. Xiao Fan transmitted the message. Su Yuwei's martial arts cultivation is at the level of a perfect master, and her supernatural power is at the level of a great martial master. With the powerful treasure, she has the combat power of a martial king. Xiao Fan's combat power is at the middle stage of the martial king, while Su Yuwei is only at the early stage of the martial king, but her recovery ability is much stronger than Xiao Fan's, and her ability to continue fighting is much stronger than Xiao Fan's. Someone is dead. Run, run. Ah. Screams and wails rang out, and Su Yuwei's speed of attack was very fast, with dozens of people falling to the ground every second. Bang, bang. Someone in the crowd tried to fight back against Su Yuwei with a gun, but it was useless, and whoever fired the gun would be killed immediately. Quick, stop. Stop quickly, or we will shoot. Many police shouted. Xiao Fan's eyes flashed with cold light, and his figure appeared, and he flew in the air, exuding a terrifying aura. Just try to shoot. Xiao Fan's cold voice sounded. The faces of the police changed drastically. Not only Su Yuwei came, Xiao Fan was also here. They knew how strong the Martial King-level monsters were. Xiao Fan had dealt with 2 Martial King-level monsters, so it must be easy to deal with them. Even the shells couldn't kill Xiao Fan, and their little guns were useless. Run, run quickly. We are just civilians, you can't do this. Many people were terrified. They wanted to escape, but it was not that easy. In just 5 minutes, tens of thousands of people fell down, with 1 or 2 fractures, and 400 or 500 people fell to the ground and died. Among the countless people who fell, Suyaway stood there. She looked weak, but her smile frightened many people. You don't listen to me when I talk nicely. Now you should understand what I'm saying. For a long time, Brother Fan has been too lazy to bother with you ordinary people. Do you still think we dare not target you? Suyaway said in a light voice, her voice heard from afar. You, the 18 SSS-level evolvers in the United States, tried to kill Brother Fan. If anything happens to Brother Fan, I will not just take action. Your aircraft carriers, your military bases, your top figures in politics, military, and business will all be buried with you. Don't doubt my ability. You SSS-level evolvers are quite powerful when united, but you are no match for me even if you are separated. Suyaway flew up. Boom. The next second, Suyaway slashed the ground with her sword with all her strength. The concrete road surface was broken, and a huge sword mark of 30 to 40 meters long, half a meter wide, and 7 or 8 meters deep appeared on the ground. Hiss. Countless people took a breath of cold air. If Suyaway slashed the crowd with this sword, she could kill thousands of people in an instant, and it is estimated that she could kill tens of thousands of people in less than 10 seconds. Suyaway's strength is so strong. She may also have the strength of Wuzong level. The United States wants to kill Xiao Fan, which has angered Suyaway. Women are scary when they get angry. So many people died or were disabled. Countless people were talking about it on the internet. Some reporters were broadcasting live nearby. Some of them did not get into trouble, and Suyaway did not forbid them to continue broadcasting. Wei, come here quickly, take a picture. Xiao Fan landed, he sat down and greeted Suyaway. Yeah. Suyaway obediently came to Xiao Fan's side. Click. After finding a good angle, the two quickly took a photo together. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 491 Suyaway is interviewed. Xiao Fan and Suyaway are too arrogant. Suyaway actually injured so many of us. Where are our troops? Where are our aircraft carriers and fighter jets? Arrogant, too arrogant, they must pay a heavy price. Many Americans on the internet saw the live broadcast and were extremely angry. Through the live broadcast, they saw many people being knocked to the ground by Suyaway, screaming, but they didn't know that many people died. The reporters who were broadcasting the live broadcast only dared to broadcast from a distance and could only see a general idea. This is too much, this is too much. When did our country of the United States get bullied to this extent? Let the military take action immediately. Xiao Fan and Suyaway must pay a huge price. Inside the safe bunker, the U.S. Commander-in-Chief roared angrily. What price do you want us to pay? Xiao Fan's voice rang out in the safe bunker. The next second, Xiao Fan teleported directly to the inside of the safe bunker. The safe bunker was deep underground, and with Suyaway, Xiao Fan couldn't teleport that far. The face of the U.S. Commander-in-Chief and his men changed drastically. Several security personnel immediately drew their guns and pointed them at Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan looked at them and said with a half-smile, "You are pointing this thing at me, are you kidding me? Just try to shoot." Several security personnel put down their hands in embarrassment. They just raised their guns reflexively, but facing Xiao Fan, let alone guns, it would be useless even if they drove a tank over. Some people are too much. Suyaway just killed hundreds of people. If you Americans are not convinced, then continue. The worst result is nothing more than a nuclear war. All countries will be destroyed, and I will unify the world at that time. Xiao Fan said lightly. The U.S. president and his men took a breath of cold air. Suyaway not only injured people, but also killed hundreds of them. This shows that Xiao Fan and his men really dare to kill. If a nuclear war is really provoked, perhaps it will be as Xiao Fan said, all countries in the world will be destroyed, and Xiao Fan and his men will unify the world. The environment here is okay. But don't you know to pour a cup of tea when the guests come? Even if there is no tea, pouring a cup of coffee can also show your hospitality. Xiao Fan sat down on the sofa leisurely. Pour him a cup of coffee. The U.S. commander took a deep breath. Xiao Fan brought them great pressure. There was not a single SS-level evolver around them. There was an SS-level evolver, but the SS-level evolver was nothing in front of Xiao Fan. That's right. Your US military strength is the best in the world, and everyone recognizes this. My strength is now the best in the world, and you should give me some respect. Xiao Fan said lightly. Outside the safe bunker, Su Yue checked the situation on the internet. The US internet has been in an uproar. Countless people angrily expressed that they would make Xiao Fan and others pay the price, and would severely sanction China, and even target Chinese people in the United States. Su Yue frowned. Come here. Su Yue waved to a reporter in the distance. The reporter's heartbeat quickened. He was afraid but also excited. If he could interview Su Yue at this time, he would become famous. Quick, follow me. The reporter and the cameraman quickly approached Su Yue, and the number of people watching his live broadcast channel suddenly increased wildly. Su Yue, what is your current strength? You have crippled so many people in the United States, aren't you afraid that the United States will severely sanction you? The reporter's name is Alex, and he asked boldly. Su Yue said calmly, let me correct you on one thing. I not only crippled so many of them, I also killed hundreds of them. Hiss. Hearing Su Yue's answer, many people in front of the TV took a breath of cold air, as if they were poured with a large basin of ice water. They were angry that Su Yue crippled many of them, but Su Yue actually killed hundreds of them, and their anger was reduced a lot. The reduced anger was replaced by fear. Why? Alex trembled. Su Yue looked so weak, but she was so cruel. Su Yue said in a light voice, the master cannot be insulted. If they insult the master, they should be killed. If anyone disagrees, I'm here and you can come here. Doesn't the United States ban guns? Whether it's 100,000 people or 1 million people with guns, I accept your challenge. If tanks and fighters want to come over to play, that's fine. If you think it's inconvenient to fight here, I'll go to your naval base and you can mobilize all your aircraft carriers. Countless people in front of the TV were stunned. Su Yue was speaking English, so they could understand her. Su Yue looked calm, but her words were really too arrogant. Su Yue, you are not taking the United States seriously. Alex frowned. Su Yue said calmly, as far as I know, a monster at the Ryukyu base easily destroyed one of your aircraft carriers. Times have changed, you have to recognize this. I can take on all your aircraft carrier fleets by myself. Countless people in front of the TV were dumbfounded. Su Yue was too tough. Oh my god, Su Yue is so strong. She can take on all the aircraft carriers by herself. Su Yue is so arrogant. I like her. The Americans are probably all confused. The aircraft carriers they rely on are useless. They can't do anything to Su Yue without using mushroom bombs. There are many people in China who have climbed over the firewall. The news quickly spread to China. After hearing what Su Yue said, countless people on the domestic internet were extremely excited. Su Yue, don't forget that we still have powerful evolvers. Alex said in a deep voice. Su Yue chuckled and said, you have 18 SSS-level evolvers. If they want to challenge me, they can go up 3 or 5 at a time. Even if they fight me in a round-robin battle, I will accept it. In the capital of China, Stanford and his men gathered together. They climbed over the wall to watch the live broadcast. What do you say? Stanford asked. Grace said sternly, she killed hundreds of us and injured tens of thousands of us. Let's kill people here first. Stanford frowned and said, Xiao Fan and his men are now in the Black Palace. Can we do whatever we want without caring about the life and death of the commander-in-chief? Xiao Fan and his men are not soldiers, but we are. Besides, Xiao Fan is an orphan, and Su Yue's parents died a long time ago. They can attack without restraint. Can we do that? Everyone was silent. If they really fought back like this, the third war might come. Su Yue's doing this is beneficial to us to some extent. The people will know more clearly how terrible the top strong men are in the future. Our status will be improved. Stanford said. Everyone was thoughtful. This is indeed the case. Even if they become SSS-level evolvers, the US government will not promote them as being more powerful than the aircraft carrier fleet. Their status does not match their strength. Stanford, do you mean we should go back? Someone asked. Stanford said, wait for orders. They should come soon. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 492, challenge to the American evolvers, ding ding. As soon as Stanford finished speaking, their phone rang. Leader. Stanford answered the phone. Joseph was on the other end of the phone. He said in a deep voice, Stanford, don't mess around over there. Respond to Suyewei's provocation. Then evacuate and return home. This is the order of the Commander-in-Chief. Stanford said, Alliance leader, if we do nothing, will the people make trouble? Will the domestic public opinion pressure be very great? Joseph said, Suyewei killed hundreds of people. Do you think those people are stupid? How could they risk their lives to march and demonstrate? Besides, public opinion cannot be guided and controlled casually. Remember not to mess around. The result of the think tank discussion is that if you mess around over there, we will suffer even greater losses. Xiao Fan and others are likely to destroy our aircraft carrier again. We can only endure it then, or we will overturn the table and start a nuclear war directly. Stanford took a deep breath and said, Alliance leader, we will return immediately. After hanging up the phone, Stanford glanced at Gress and others. You all know the ideas above. I know everyone is unhappy. We will return to the country now and teach Suyewei a lesson. Gress and others nodded. They felt aggrieved, but they really didn't dare to be ruthless at this moment. Even if they killed hundreds of Chinese people in response, how much impact would it have on Xiao Fan and his team? Besides, those people in the United States were demonstrating and insulting Xiao Fan and his team. Suyewei had a reason to take action, but they had no such reason. Xiao Fan, Suyewei, wait for us. We will return to the United States immediately to compete with you. Stanford and his team quickly responded on the internet. Alex was still interviewing Suyewei when a reminder sounded in his headset. Suyewei, I received news that our American SSS-level evolvers are now preparing to return home, and they asked you to wait here. Then we will have a duel with you and Xiao Fan. Alex said. Many American people in front of the TV had their eyes lit up. Suyewei was too powerful, and they urgently needed Stanford and his team to suppress Suyewei. Suyewei said calmly, I still say the same thing. If there are less than 5 of us, they can attack at will. It doesn't matter if they fight in a round-robin battle. I can't beat 18 of them, but I'm not alone either. Alex said, Suyewei, it's not a good idea to set the battle location here. How about you find a larger open space to fight? Whatever. Suyewei said indifferently. Inside the safe bunker, the U.S. Commander-in-Chief said in a deep voice, Xiao Fan, our people are ready to return home. Shouldn't you leave too? Xiao Fan chuckled and said, no hurry. I won't leave until they get on the plane. It's a rare trip here, so I want to sit here for a while. How about you take me on a tour, Commander? The U.S. Commander-in-Chief had a dark face. Could Xiao Fan take this place to visit casually? Stingy. Xiao Fan shook his head. More than 10 minutes later, Stanford and his men boarded a plane. This plane was a special plane that the U.S. side coordinated and prepared at the fastest speed. Boom. The plane took off and left quickly. Xiao Fan, our American evolvers have left, and you can leave too. Don't come here again. You are not welcome here. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief said in a deep voice. Xiao Fan stood up and smiled faintly. Commander-in-Chief, whether I come here or not is not up to me, but up to you. If you come openly and challenge me, it's all fine. We can fight with real weapons. If you come secretly, don't blame us for using the aircraft carrier as a scapegoat. A person next to him said, Xiao Fan, you admit that you destroyed the aircraft carrier in Ryukyu. Xiao Fan looked over and said, do you have any objection? The other party was speechless after being rebuked by Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan, please. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief said in a deep voice. The coffee is a bit bitter. I'll come over and add more sugar next time. Xiao Fan chuckled, and he disappeared in an instant. Bang. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief picked up something beside him and smashed it hard on the ground. This time he was embarrassed. Commander-in-Chief, Suyewei may just be deliberately talking nonsense and bluffing. She may not be able to fight several of our SSS-level masters alone. Besides, she also agreed to a round-robin battle. A person next to him said. The U.S. commander-in-chief had a dark face, and could only hope that Stanford and the others would do better. If they could win, they could save some face. Block the relevant public opinion. The U.S. commander-in-chief said in a deep voice. There must be a lot of people watching the live broadcast now, but the total number should not exceed 100 million. He doesn't want more people to watch the live broadcast. Yes. The influence of the United States is still quite amazing. Various public opinions were quickly controlled, and the relevant videos on the internet in the Western world soon disappeared. Some other public opinion hotspots were also quickly exposed. Information cocoons are very scary things. Even if many people watched the live broadcast, they could not spread it on the internet, and they did not have the ability to organize people to march and protest. Of course, no one organized it. Su Yue really dared to kill people, which was terrible. Although many of them were very angry, they were not stupid enough to joke with their own lives. In a short period of time, it seemed that nothing had happened on the Western internet. In China, the authorities also deliberately began to block the news. Xiao Fan and Su Yue got a big advantage. It would not be good to publicize and provoke the United States at this time. After all, the strength of the United States is very strong. What if it really turns into a world war? Wei, I didn't see that you are so tough. Xiao Fan came to Su Yue, he hugged Su Yue and kissed her and smiled. Su Yue rolled her eyes at Xiao Fan coquettishly. Do you want to say that I am a female man? I just want them to know that there are other strong people in our China besides you, so that they don't get carried away and deal with you casually. Su Yue said. Xiao Fan smiled and said, I am a person with spatial ability. I am not best at attacking and defending. I am best at escaping. It is impossible for them to surround and kill me. Brother Fan, we have to be on guard. What if one of them goes crazy and approaches you with mushroom bombs to attack? Su Yue said seriously. Xiao Fan nodded. It is not completely impossible. It is indeed safer for him to show his strength. Unknowingly, more than 10 hours passed. The plane that Stanford and his friends took landed at the airport in Washington. Stanford, Xiao Fan, and his friends are on a cruise ship in the middle of the Potomac River. Joseph came to meet them in person. He was nervous at this moment. It would be fine if Stanford and his friends won. If they lost, his position as the leader would probably be over. Someone has to take the blame. As the leader of the Evolutionary Alliance, he is the best candidate to take the blame. After investing so much money, they still lost. If he doesn't take the blame, who will? Yes. Don't worry, leader. We will definitely win. Leader, we may not be able to beat Su Yue in a one-on-one fight, but if there are 5 of us, I don't believe Su Yue is our opponent. That's right, she dared to agree to a round-robin battle, she is too brave. Stanford and the others spoke up. They had never encountered failure, and they were all full of confidence. Joseph said in a deep voice, when the time comes, you will show all your skills. Don't underestimate the enemy just because Su Yue is a woman. In a head-on battle, it's okay even if you kill Su Yue. Stanford and the others nodded. Midline Horizontal Ellipsis Chapter 493, Battle against SSS Level Evolver, calculate the time, our evolvers should be back, right? It's been more than 10 hours, they should be back, we have 18 SSS level evolvers, we can definitely beat Xiao Fan and his team. Xiao Fan and Su Yue are too arrogant. Many Americans on the internet are looking forward to the battle between Su Yue and Stanford, and the United States has no control over public opinion in this regard. The top leaders of the United States also hope that Stanford and his team can win, so that even if they can't kill Su Yue, they can at least save some face. Woo, the police car led the way, and Stanford and his team drove quickly to the location where Xiao Fan and his team were. At this time, the police car led the way forward, it must be that our strong men are back. You must win. The photos and videos of the police car leading the way were uploaded to the internet, and more people talked about it. There are now many people paying attention to this matter. Americans often don't bother to care about other things, but Su Yue took action and slapped the United States in the face. It has always been the United States that bullies other countries. When will it be the turn of others to bully the United States? This harms their interests. Su Yue was too strong to kill or maim tens of thousands of them. Even with guns, they dared not target Su Yue, so they could only pin their hopes on Stanford and his group of SSS-level warriors. General, Stanford and his men are back. They will fight Su Yue in the middle of the river. What do you want? Someone came to the U.S. general and said. We must find someone to take a clear picture. If our people win, we will publicize it. If we lose, we will keep it low-key. The U.S. general said in a deep voice. General, I believe our people will definitely win. Even if Su Yue is strong, she can't handle the round-robin battle. When you go all out, the consumption is huge, and the combat effectiveness will drop. The person in front of the U.S. general said, he is an SS-level warrior. Yes. The U.S. general nodded. With police cars leading the way and no traffic jams, Stanford and his men arrived at the river in about half an hour. They saw a cruise ship in the middle of the river. The cruise ship was not very big. Xiao Fan and Su Yue were enjoying a candlelight dinner on the cruise ship. Honey, they are here. Su Yue glanced at Stanford and the others and said. Xiao Fan nodded slightly, and his voice rang beside Stanford and the others, no more than 5 people can attack each time. The rest of you stay on the shore. If you break the rules, we will leave immediately. Xiao Fan has the combat power of the middle stage of the martial king. Even if he fights 10 people alone, he has some confidence that Su Yue can fight 5 alone. But Stanford and the others have 18 SSS-level evolvers, and there must be SSS-level strongmen from other countries coming secretly. Dongyang Country, British Empire, Canada, and other countries now have SSS-level strongmen, and Xiao Fan is not sure how many there are in total. In addition, there are also many S-level and SS-level strongmen in the United States. Xiao Fan is not willing to fight head-on now. Zhang Lin, Sudong, and the Black King are not here now. Leader, how many of us should we go? Stanford asked, and Joseph also came here. Joseph said in a deep voice, you are SSS-level evolvers. You know how to fight better than me. Discuss it among yourselves. Stanford looked at one of them. The men immediately released a soundproof barrier. My idea is this. We will send 4 people first. If we lose, the second team will also send 4 people. The third and fourth teams will both send 5 people. If you have different ideas, please speak up. Stanford said in a deep voice. Grace said, Captain, should we send 4 people directly? Are you overestimating Su Yue? She may not be that strong. Maybe the 3 of us can defeat her. Another said, Captain, I think we should send 5 people directly. Maybe we can catch her off guard and kill her. Captain, everyone spoke up. The final result of the discussion was to send 5 people directly. It would be best if we could defeat or kill Su Yue in the first game. Although it is not particularly glorious to fight with more people against fewer, even if you win, Su Yue herself proposed that she could accept such a fight. Gress, don't be impulsive at the beginning. First find out Su Yue's bottom line. Stanford ordered. Gress was on the first list, and he strongly requested it himself. Yes. Soon the 5 people in the first group walked on the water, they rushed towards Xiao Fan and the others, and Su Yue also rushed out from the cruise ship. Look over there. It's our evolvers. Come on, come on. There were many Americans on the river bank. They saw Gress and the others, but it was a pity that it was not very clear at night. Duplicate. The distance quickly approached, and Su Yue created a clone that was exactly the same as herself, and her original body escaped into the water. The clone continued to move forward. This clone has 1/5 of Su Yue's power. It can burst out powerful attacks, and being destroyed will also cause great damage to Su Yue's original body. But Su Yue didn't care. She has an immortal body and her ability to recover is very terrifying. Consuming 1/5 of her power will not affect the original body much. You will die. Su Yue's clone said coldly. She exuded a terrifying aura. Su Yue's clone could not burst out a Martial King level attack, but her clone's aura was definitely a Martial King level 1. Disguising one's aura to be stronger was a superb method. A strongman from Shanghai taught Su Yue. Arrogant. Kill. All 5 of Grace and the others attacked. They did not hold back and directly burst out their strongest attacks. In their opinion, perhaps one strike could take down Su Yue. Even if they could not take her down, they would be fine if they used offense instead of defense. Stanford asked them to take it easy at first, but they did not listen at all. The credit for taking care of Su Yue belonged to them. Boom. Swoosh. 5 kinds of attacks rushed towards Su Yue, and the momentum was very huge. After all, the 5 of them were all SSS-level masters. Now. At the moment when Grace and the others attacked, Su Yue's hidden original body attacked, and a sword light shot up into the sky from the water. Boom. Puff. Su Yue's clones were destroyed. At the same time, Su Yue's sword pierced through the chest of one of them. Su Yue's attack reached the level of Wu Wang. If Gress and the others defended well together, Su Yue would not be able to succeed so easily. But they are attacking with all their strength now. When they attack with all their strength, their defense is weak. If they were more experienced in combat, they would not make such a mistake, but they have not been SSS-level evolvers for long. They also have no top-level strongmen to guide them. Turn. After killing one person with the flying sword, Su Yue felt that she still had a lot of strength left, and instantly the flying sword killed the other Gress next to her. Puff. Gress was a fire-attributed strongman. His attention was all on Su Yue's clone. He was overjoyed when Su Yue's clone was destroyed. What's going on? Gress touched his chest. It seemed that something had drilled into his chest. Blood. Gress touched a hand of blood, and fear appeared in his eyes. Soon, severe pain spread throughout his body. Su Yue's flying sword was not powerful enough, and it did not rush out of Glee's body, but Glee's heart had been pierced. Help, save me. Glee's eyes showed fear. Su Yue flew out of the water, and she rushed directly towards Glee's and the others. She killed 2 of the 5, and Su Yue was not afraid even if they were head-on. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 494, the power of the immortal body. Gress's heart was pierced, and his vitality was rapidly fading. Swoosh. Su Yue approached, and her mental power pulled the flying sword out. Gress was on the verge of death, and he could not stop Su Yue's mental power. Run, run. Gress and the others are dead. The other 3 strong men were horrified. Just after they made their move, 2 of them were killed by Su Yue in an instant, leaving only 3, and their courage was broken. 2 of them chose to retreat and flee at the first opportunity. The other hesitated a little and fell behind. Die. The enemy was alone, and Su Yue would certainly not miss the opportunity. Her powerful power poured into the flying sword, and the flying sword killed the last person. If the 3 of them joined forces to defend, it would be completely possible to hold on for a while, but it was unrealistic for one person to resist Su Yue's attack alone. Puff. Su Yue's opponent defended with all his strength, but Su Yue's flying sword still broke his defense in a very short time. The flying sword entered his chest and stabbed out from his back. The men showed despair in his eyes. Su Yue ignored him and chased after the 2 opponents who had already escaped a distance in front of her at a faster speed. We admit defeat. The 2 shouted in unison. Waste. Su Yue snorted. Since the opponent had already admitted defeat, she couldn't continue to chase him. After all, they were just dueling, not a life-and-death duel. It was allowed to admit defeat in a duel. The 2 fled to the shore desperately. Their faces were a little pale. The battle lasted for a short time, but they were scared. Among the 5 of them, 3 were killed quickly. If they were slower to admit defeat, they might also die. Stanford and the others looked extremely ugly. The 2 who escaped back had sad faces. Captain, Su Yue's strength is too strong, and she is also very insidious. She actually created a clone to confuse us. One of them said in a trembling voice. After becoming SSS-level evolvers, they were full of confidence. Su Yue's move made them realize that they were nothing special. Stanford said with an unpleasant expression, I told you to take it easy. Find out Su Yue's background first and protect yourself first. Why didn't you listen? The 2 were speechless. They had no idea that Su Yue was so strong and had much more combat experience than them. Honey, how did I perform? Su Yue returned to the cruise ship and she said with a smile. Xiaofen hugged Su Yue and kissed her and said with a smile, you performed very well. 3 SSS-level evolvers from the United States died, which was enough to make them sad for a while. Even though the success rate of SSS-level evolutionary fluid has increased a lot and the cost has been reduced a bit, the cost of each dose of SSS-level evolutionary fluid is still very high. Xiao Fan didn't know the cost of SSS-level evolutionary fluid now, but the cost of a tube of SSS-level evolutionary fluid was $300 million in the past. Even if the cost of SSS-level evolutionary fluid is only $300 million, considering the success rate, the cost of training an SSS-level evolver should not be less than $1 billion. 3 is $3 billion. It is impossible for the United States to start the nuclear-powered money printing machine without limit. The loss of billions of US dollars is also very huge for the United States. Wait, do you want to use the life spirit liquid? Xiao Fan asked in a voice transmission. Hubby, no, I have the ability of immortality and strong recovery ability. I can fully recover if they discuss for a while. Even if they send people out immediately, I can delay for a while. Su Yowei said in a voice transmission. In terms of the ability to continue fighting, Xiao Fan is far inferior to Su Yowei. Yeah. Xiao Fan nodded. Stanford and his team quickly sent out the second group of people. 3 people in the first group died, and they were unwilling to admit defeat. With the previous lessons, they will be more cautious. Su Yowei, come again. Don't think you can win easily this time. One of the 5 people in the second group said sternly. The overall strength of their group is stronger than that of the first group. In addition, Su Yowei must have consumed a lot of energy before, so although their confidence was not as high as before, they were also quite confident. Swoosh. Su Yowei left the cruise ship. She was not fully recovered at this time, but she could recover a lot every second, and she could fully recover in 1 or 2 minutes. If there was a blood bar on the head, others would recover +1, and Su Yowei's recovery would probably be +100, rising sharply. Su Yowei, you are so cruel. You killed our people, and you won't have a good life either. The 5 people who came out in the second batch were extremely angry. Go all out. Su Yowei said lightly. Kill. The 5 people acted quickly, and they didn't want to give Su Yowei a chance to recover. But all 5 of them had some spare energy. Especially one of them, he had the ability of enchantment. He didn't attack at all, he was only responsible for adding shields to everyone. In this way, it was not easy for Su Yowei to kill them, but their attack was low, so it was difficult for them to kill Su Yowei. Wife, they seem to want to compete with you in consumption. Just satisfy them. Xiao Fan sent a message to Su Yowei. Understood. Su Yowei fought with them fiercely. The 2 sides fought very lively, but in fact Su Yowei's strength was constantly recovering. Su Yowei's opponents recovered much slower than hers, and their strength was constantly decreasing. 10 minutes passed unknowingly. Sweat appeared on Su Yowei's forehead, and she looked worse, but this was just a disguise. I think we're tied in this round. Su Yowei said. Su Yowei, you can't hold on, can you? Aren't you going to fight us in a round-robin battle? You're giving in so soon. One of the 5 women taunted. Su Yowei snorted coldly, who can't hold on? I'm just a little hot, I think you can't hold on. Su Yowei, whoever gives in is a dog, the woman provoked Su Yowei. Su Yowei did not agree immediately. Why, you don't dare. It seems that you are really about to collapse. Who said I don't dare? Su Yowei said coldly, I can hold on until you vomit blood. Okay, then let's see who gives up first. Su Yowei's opponents were very happy. 5 against 1, they didn't believe that they couldn't beat Su Yowei in terms of consumption. Gradually, the time came to 20 minutes. Su Yowei's face became a little pale, and the frequency of her attacks also decreased a lot. Her opponents were in a better situation. But Su Yowei's weakness was a disguise. She had already fully recovered, and her opponent's strength was consumed by 70% to 80%. Whoever gives up first is a dog. Su Yowei's opponents certainly won't give up at this time. In their opinion, Su Yowei will definitely collapse first. Another 5 minutes passed, and Su Yowei stopped attacking. Her face was very ugly. Xiao Fan on the cruise ship stood up, as if ready to rescue people at any time. Boom. Su Yowei's opponents were still attacking. But their faces were all very ugly at this time. Their consumption was close to 90%, and they had no confidence in how long they could hold on. Yue, that's enough. If they continue, they will probably admit defeat. Xiaofen sent a voice message to Su Yue. Okay. Su Yue attacked with all her strength, and the flying sword in her body instantly killed out. Puff. 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 The opponent's defense was already very weak, and Su Yue burned her vitality again. In the blink of an eye, 3 of them were killed by her. I surrender. I surrender. The other 2 were horrified and surrendered immediately. But one of them shouted, and before the other shouted, Su Yue's flying sword pierced his body. What a pity. Su Yue retracted the flying sword, and she looked at the last person with some regret. You can't kill people. The last person said in horror. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 495. Su Yue was injured. Su Yue said calmly, since you admit defeat, I won't kill you according to the rules. Go back, it's the next group's turn. The last person left in a panic. On the way back to the shore, he lost control several times and fell into the water. Leader, woo-woo. The one who survived was a man, but when he returned to the shore, he broke down and cried. It was too scary just now. They had the upper hand, but in the blink of an eye, 4 companions were killed. If he was a little slower, he would probably die. Joseph's face was gloomy. Stanford and the others also looked very ugly. They had 18 SSS-level strongmen coming, and 7 died in 2 battles. This loss was too tragic. Don't fight, it's over. I'll take the responsibility. Joseph took a deep breath and said. He really didn't expect Su Yue to be so insidious, and Su Yue's ability to continue fighting was so strong. After fighting a game in the front, she actually exhausted all 5 of their strongmen and killed them in the second game. God knows how long Su Yue can hold on. There are still 11 SSS-level masters, and they can still stabilize the situation. What will happen if they die? The loss is too great, so great that they can no longer bear it. Xiaofen estimated that it would cost at least $1 billion to train an SSS-level evolver, but in fact it costs about $2 billion to train one now. The cost is about $1.5 billion, and another $500 million will fall into the pockets of many people, which is also a real expense of the country. The loss of 7 SSS-level evolvers means a loss of $14 billion. Moreover, even if another $14 billion is spent in a short period of time, it is unlikely to train 7 more SSS-level evolvers. Training SSS-level evolvers requires special resources. Some special resources are extremely rare in the world, and the price of purchasing in large quantities in a short period of time will skyrocket. If this happens, the cost of training an SSS-level evolver will soar, and may rise to $5 billion or even $10 billion. Alliance Leader, Su Yue should not be able to hold on now. Alliance Leader, let us go, we will admit defeat if the situation is not right. Stanford and the others spoke one after another, and they were unwilling to admit defeat like this, and they felt that there was still a chance. Su Yue might have a final explosion. Joseph frowned, are you sure you want to keep trying? Stanford said, as long as we consume more than half, we will immediately admit defeat and retreat, and we will never give her a chance. Joseph thought for a while and said, then you go. Swish. Swish. Stanford and others rushed out. Their group was the strongest, but their confidence was the weakest at the moment. Husband, it seems that they haven't given up yet. I'll fight them again. Su Yue said in a delicate voice. Xiaofen nodded slightly. Stanford and the others had agreed to surrender if they consumed half of their energy. It was difficult to kill them, but the battle had to continue. Boom. On the river, Su Yue and Stanford and the others quickly started fighting. This time Su Yue opened fire at full power and fought directly with Stanford and the others. The flying sword with sword light kept attacking Stanford and the others. The defense was strong, and Stanford and the others could resist. But their attacks were also dodged or resisted by Su Yue. Su Yue has a powerful defensive treasure, and there is a shield around her body. It seems that 7 of us have died. I didn't expect Su Yue to be so powerful. Su Yue killed and maimed many of us before. It seems that we have to swallow our anger. We can't do anything to her. I will be a fan of Suyaway from now on. Many people on the riverbank were talking. Many of them were very angry at first, but now they have calmed down one by one. 7 SSS-level evolvers died in Suyaway's hands. They recognized the reality. They were used to the idea that whoever has the biggest fist is the boss. Based on this, some of their concepts have changed. Since Suyaway is strong, there is nothing wrong with them being fans of Suyaway. Suyaway did not expect that after this incident, her popularity in the United States would soar, and the number of her fans would be close to that of big stars. In many other countries around the world, her popularity has also soared. Suyaway's ability to continue fighting is so strong. Is the difference between a cultivator and an evolver so big? Time passed by, and Joseph and the others looked extremely solemn. Suyaway could actually hold on in such a fierce battle. Stanford, you have almost consumed half of your energy, right? If you reach that, just admit defeat. Joseph said loudly. Suyaway said as she attacked, Stanford, I think you should not listen to him. Don't look at my fierce attack now, I am actually pretending, I can't hold on any longer. Stanford and the others secretly discussed to hold on for a while. They held on for a few more minutes. The consumption reached 60%. Suyaway's complexion obviously became worse, and the frequency of her attacks also decreased a lot. Stanford and the others were a little entangled. Should we continue? If we give up, it seems a pity to give up at this time. Suyaway has already consumed a lot of energy, and it is very likely that she can't hold on any longer. If they don't give up, some of them might die. Captain, how about we give up? Let's not let Suyaway trick us again. Stanford and the others communicated internally. 2 of the 5 wanted to end it, but the other 3 did not express their opinions immediately. Puff. At this moment, Suyaway's body paused. She spurted out a mouthful of blood. On the cruise ship, Xiaofen stood up suddenly. Wei, if you can't hold on any longer, don't force yourself. If you admit defeat, we will win. Honey, I can still hold on. I just had a shortness of breath just now, a small problem, I will definitely win. Suyaway panted. Let's continue. The other 3 of Stanford made a decision quickly. The 2 who had decided to give up also had a surge of confidence. Suyaway actually vomited blood, which was a great encouragement to them. Puff. A few minutes later, Stanford and his team had consumed 70% of their energy. They were shaken, but at this time Suyaway was injured. Suyaway had internal injuries before, but this time she was injured externally. Their sword energy left a deep wound on Suyaway's arm. The blood quickly dyed Suyaway's sleeve red. Wei, admit defeat. Xiaofen shouted. Hubby, I'll take a drop of life spirit liquid. They have consumed a lot of energy, so they must be the ones who admit defeat. Suyaway said and quickly took a drop of life spirit liquid. Hurry up, don't give her time to recover. Even if we can't kill her, we must make her admit defeat. Stanford and his team secretly communicated, and they accelerated the rhythm of their attacks, so that they consumed faster. Soon Stanford and his team consumed 80%. Suyaway had several wounds all over her body. She didn't attack much anymore, and basically dodged the attacks desperately. Wife, it's almost done. They shouldn't consume 90%. Xiaofen sent a voice message to Suyaway. Suyaway's injury was intentional. Later, Suyaway reduced her attacks, and the strength she had consumed earlier was already recovered. She had an immortal body, so that little injury was nothing to her. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 496 Stanford and others broke through the defense. Stanford, you have consumed 80% of your energy, right? You still don't admit defeat. If you don't admit defeat, you will die. Suyaway said. While she was talking, she was attacked again because she couldn't dodge in time. A flying knife pierced her shoulder 2 inches deep. Haha, Suyaway, you want us to admit defeat. You are dreaming if you still want us to admit defeat in your current state. Someone from Stanford laughed. Puff. Suyaway pulled out the flying knife on her shoulder. The color of the flying knife was wrong. This flying knife was poisoned, and the poison was very poisonous. This flying knife is poisonous. It seems that I can't not admit defeat. I admit, Suyaway looked like she was going to admit defeat immediately. Kill. Stanford and the others had secretly prepared. At the moment when Su Yue was about to admit defeat, they gave up defense and attacked with all their strength. The flying knife was poisoned, but Xiaofan was strong. Xiaofan also had things like the life essence, which might not be able to poison Su Yue. Even if they couldn't kill Su Yue would defend or dodge desperately, and the poison would spread faster. Now, Su Yue was waiting for the moment when Stanford and the others gave up their defense. Kill. Su Yue risked being more seriously injured and burst out with her strongest attack. Her flying sword instantly pierced through one of the bodies. Puff. After piercing through the body of this person, Su Yue's flying sword was still very strong, and the flying sword pierced into the body of another strongman. At the same time, Su Yue also had 2 new wounds on her body. One of them was so deep that the bone could be seen. I was fooled. Stanford and the others were horrified when their 2 companions died. I give up. Stanford and the others shouted at the first time. Su Yue stopped attacking. There were still rules. Now many people were watching, and they represented the image of China. In a duel, anything was fine. If she continued to attack when the opponent gave up, how would people from other countries view the strong men of China? Why did you give up? I'm about to give up. Su Yue smiled. Stanford and his men looked extremely unhappy. 2 more of them died. They were extremely careful this time, but they still fell into Su Yue's trap. Su Yue, Xiaofan is a lunatic and you are a lunatic too. You are a woman, and you are willing to kill our people even if you get hurt. Aren't you afraid of getting scars on your body? A man next to Stanford said with a dark face. Su Yue said in a calm voice, once you are on the duel field, you are a warrior. There is no difference between men and women. You still have 3 people who haven't entered. Do you want to fight again? Stanford said in a deep voice, we lost this duel. We admit defeat. You can leave the United States. If the 5-man team can't beat them, how can they beat the remaining 3? Besides, the remaining 3 are all weak in combat power. What a pity. In total, I only killed 9 of you. I wanted to make it an even number, but it seems that there is no chance this time. Su Yue shook her head and said. She stood on the river with blood all over her body, like a female warrior who came out of hell. I will be a fan of Su Yue from now on. The military is all trash. Not only are they inferior to them in strength, but they are also completely defeated in strategy. Someone on the shore spoke, and several people around him nodded. Stanford said gloomily, Su Yue, don't mess around. At this moment, our United States is still the number 1 power. You can go away. Su Yue snorted. Stanford and the others evacuated quickly. Even though Su Yue seemed to be unable to hold on, they no longer had any confidence to fight Su Yue. Half of the 18 SSS-level evolvers were killed by Su Yue. Husband, how did I perform? Su Yue returned to the cruise ship. Xiaofan hugged Su Yue distressedly. He knew that Su Yue would definitely recover, but the pain of injury was inevitable. Wife, you are so amazing. Even if I take action, it is impossible to kill 9 of them in such a fight. Xiaofan said. He was telling the truth. If they were facing him, Stanford and the others would have given up long ago because they felt that the situation was not right. It was absolutely impossible for him to kill 9 people. Su Yue had never shown strong strength before, and she looked weak, which confused Stanford and the others. Honey, the situation on the internet is a little strange. Many people in the United States said that they will be my fans in the future. What are they doing? Su Yue sent a voice message in confusion. There was a computer on the cruise ship, and Su Yue checked it distractedly. It's normal. Many Americans don't agree with the country. Besides, they worship the strong, even if the strong are enemies. Don't we have many such people in our country? Xiaofan didn't find it strange at all. Su Yue's performance was explosive. She collected 9 heads in 3 duels. This battle will definitely make Su Yue famous all over the world. That's right. Su Yue nodded lightly. Honey, I need to rest for an hour or 2. My injury is not very serious. I can recover in an hour or 2. Yes. Xiaofan took Su Yue away by teleportation. They had already booked a presidential suite in a nearby hotel, so Su Yue could have a good rest. Ding! Not long after returning to the hotel, Xiaofan received a call from Lu Zhiheng, who knew the situation here. There was no live broadcast this time, and all related live broadcasts were blocked, but Lu Zhiheng was the commander of the military region, and he had information channels. Xiaofan, what's Yue's situation now? Lu Zhiheng asked anxiously as soon as the call was connected. Xiaofan said, Uncle Lu, don't worry, Wei is fine. She deliberately pretended to kill more enemy warriors. Her injuries will recover in an hour or two. Lu Zhiheng breathed a sigh of relief on the other end of the phone. Xiaofan, is Yue available to answer the phone now? Xiaofan said, Uncle Lu, she is practicing now. She will recover faster when practicing. Please call again in 2 hours. Okay. Lu Zhiheng hung up the phone. What a strong recovery ability. Xiaofan thought to himself as he checked Su Yue's condition. She was injured in several places, some of which were so deep that the bones could be seen. Su Yue was also poisoned, but her injury still recovered very quickly. The poison had a weak effect on her. Xiaofan estimated that if he were in such a situation, even with spiritual medicine, he would not be able to recover in 2 or 3 days. 2 hours passed quickly. Su Yue opened her eyes. The wounds on her body had completely disappeared, and the toxins in her body had long been refined. Yue, how do you feel? Xiaofan asked. Su Yue smiled and said, Hubby, I feel very good. I have the ability of immortality, which is stronger the more I use it. After this time, my immortality ability has also broken through a little, and I vaguely feel that my cultivation is about to break through. Hubby, let's go back to China quickly. Xiaofan nodded. If she is about to break through, she must go back to China quickly. Su Yue's breakthrough in Leishan County is very good for her spirit cave. Ding! Another call came. However, this time it was Lu Baichuan who called instead of Lu Zhiheng. The United States has imposed a blockade, but the news still got back to China, and the relevant news is now spreading like wildfire on the domestic internet. Grandpa, I'm fine, I'm fully recovered. There are also many people on the internet who are concerned about my situation. I will take a video and upload it to the internet soon, and you can watch the video. Su Yue said with a sweet smile. Are you really fine? Grandpa, how can I be in trouble? Brother Fan is watching next to me. If I was in trouble, he would have stopped me long ago. Lu Baichuan breathed a sigh of relief on the other end of the phone. Yue, if you are fine, then you did a great job. You have the style of your grandfather back then, ha ha ha. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 497 Joseph's death. The United States, Black Palace. Joseph and his men have arrived here. They deliberately delayed a little time. 2 hours have passed. They estimated that Xiaofan and Su Yue should have left. General Joseph and his men have arrived at the conference room. Someone next to the General of the United States said. Yes. The General of the United States nodded slightly, and he quickly arrived at the conference room. Seeing him come in, Stanford and his men hurriedly stood up. As SSS-level evolvers, their own combat power is much stronger than that of the General of the United States, but their status is far inferior. Sit down. General Joseph, is there such a big gap between the strength of our SSS-level evolvers and Su Yue? The General of the United States said with a gloomy face. Of the 18 SSS-level evolvers, 9 died in the duel, and only 15 of them actually took action. According to the number of people they took action, the mortality rate reached 60%. Joseph took a deep breath and said, Commander-in-Chief, we have analyzed that Su Yue's strength is not that strong. She should have used a special treasure that can quickly restore her strength, so she deliberately delayed and consumed our strength in the battle. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief said sternly, didn't you find out at the time? We were fooled the second time, and we were fooled the third time. Stanford said, Commander-in-Chief, this matter is my fault. Su Yue vomited blood in the battle, and she was injured as a girl, so we judged that she would not be able to hold on for long. We wanted to force her to admit defeat, but we didn't expect . Joseph shook his head and said, Commander-in-Chief, blame it on me. Stanford and others also want to save some face for the country. We lost people, but if we won in the end, it would be much better. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief's expression eased a little. Tell me about the situation in detail. Stanford and others recounted it in detail. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief frowned secretly. Even if he was an SSS-level evolver, he would not stop if he participated in targeting Suyaway. Obviously, in the upper hand, Suyaway was vomiting blood and was seriously injured. Wouldn't the public scold her if she gave up in this situation? You said the hidden weapon was poisoned. Will Suyaway die of poisoning? The U.S. Commander-in-Chief asked. Joseph said, Xiaofan must have all kinds of treasures. Although the hidden weapon is poisoned, the probability of Suyaway dying is not high. But she should only be able to recover for a while. At this time, someone knocked on the door and entered the conference room. Commander-in-Chief, Xiaofan Douyin sent a video. The video was taken by him and Suyaway at the airport. They are preparing to return to China. The person handed a tablet to the U.S. Commander-in-Chief. Huh. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief frowned. After watching the video, project this video on the big screen. Soon Joseph and others saw the video on the big screen. In the video, Xiaofan and Suyaway were holding hands, but this was not the point. The point was that Suyaway looked very good. There were no wounds on Suyaway's arms or shoulders. How could it be? Stanford and others couldn't believe it. They clearly remembered that Suyaway had a deep wound on her shoulder and a wound on her left arm that was so deep that the bone was visible. But now the video shows that Suyaway has no wounds at all, not even a shallow scar. The effect of the elixir is so strong. Suyaway is so insidious, she knows she will recover soon, so she doesn't care about getting injured in the battle. She and Xiaofan are both deceiving. Several of Stanford's men spoke up. Joseph smiled bitterly and said, Commander-in-Chief, I was careless and the intelligence collection was not accurate enough. I didn't expect Suyaway to be so strong. I request to resign from the position of leader of the Evolutionary Alliance. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief nodded and said, General Joseph, because of your dereliction of duty, we have lost 9 excellent warriors, and the country has suffered huge property losses. You are indeed not suitable to continue to be the leader of the Evolutionary Alliance. Joseph said in a deep voice, Commander-in-Chief, I want to become an SS-level evolutionary, and then break through to become an SSS-level evolutionary. Huh. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief was a little surprised. General Joseph, are you sure? Joseph said, I want to get back the lost face in person later. He knew very well that if he did not choose this way, he would have a high chance of going to a military court and might face imprisonment. Many people in the United States were very angry, and someone had to take the blame. As the leader of the Evolutionary Alliance, Joseph was the right person. If he took the risk of becoming an SSS-level evolutionary, he would definitely not go to jail. It is not easy to train an SSS-level evolutionary. The Commander-in-Chief of the United States said in a deep voice, General Joseph, think carefully. You are not young, so the success rate will be lower. There is a high chance of death when becoming an SS-level evolver. When an SS-level evolver reaches the SSS level, there is still a 60% chance of death. The combined mortality rate is more than 80%. Joseph is in his 60s or 70s, and his chance of death is likely to reach 90%. Joseph said, General, I am sure. As long as he is not in a military court, he will be a hero of the country even if he dies, and his descendants will not be affected. The Commander-in-Chief of the United States was silent for a while and said, Then you try it. If you succeed, you will still be the leader of the Evolutionary Alliance. It is more suitable for a powerful evolver to be the leader of the Evolutionary Alliance. But who would easily try to become a powerful evolver with a high status? It is not okay for an ordinary soldier to be the leader of the Evolutionary Alliance. The United States has classes. Even if they become SSS-level evolvers, Stanford and others have not squeezed into the ruling class now. Thank you, Commander-in-Chief. Joseph saluted. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief said in a deep voice, General Joseph, now we only have 9 SSS-level evolvers. In terms of safety, Joseph said, General, don't worry. Even if we don't have SSS-level evolvers, Xiaofan and others will not dare to act recklessly. After all, our country has the strongest nuclear strike capability in the world. Xiao Fan and Su Yue may not be afraid of this, but countless Chinese people are afraid. According to our analysis, they are very patriotic. The U.S. Commander-in-Chief nodded slightly. You must be careful in your future actions. Xiao Fan is now looking for every opportunity to weaken our strength. Yes, Commander-in-Chief. After confirming that Xiao Fan and Su Yue were on the plane, Joseph and others left quietly and returned to the Evolutionary Alliance base. Soon Joseph began to use the SS-level evolutionary fluid. He had to become an SS-level evolver first. The SSS-level evolutionary fluid is very expensive, and the success rate of ordinary people using it directly is low. Ah! Joseph screamed in great pain. It is not so easy to become an SS-level evolver. The success rate of ordinary people becoming an SS-level evolver directly is a little more than 40%. Joseph is there, and his success rate is less than 40%. Half an hour passed. Joseph's body twitched violently, blood kept pouring out of his mouth, and veins on his body bulged. Not good. Everyone in the laboratory rushed to rescue him. But Joseph couldn't hold on, and his genes collapsed and he died. Chapter 498 Su Yue's cultivation breakthrough. More than 10 hours later, Xiao Fan and Su Yue returned to China. The plane they took landed at the airport in the imperial capital of China. Here they come. Master Xiao and Goddess Su are back. Everyone, please pay attention to discipline. Tens of thousands of people gathered in the airport. They guessed the flight Xiao Fan and Su Yue took, and many of them came from other places. Su Yue killed and maimed tens of thousands of people alone, and killed 9 SSS-level evolvers in the duel, which made many people excited. Originally, many people in China felt that Su Yue was not worthy of Xiao Fan, but now those voices have almost disappeared. The public opinion in the United States is powerful. In the past, it has always been publicized how powerful SSS-level evolvers are, as if they are all supermen. The result is just like this. Su Yue had never shown her strength in the past, but she killed 9 SSS-level evolvers with one move, shocking the whole world. Husband, shall we meet them? Su Yue asked in a voice transmission. They haven't got off the plane yet, but they heard the movement, and their spiritual sense has discovered tens of thousands of fans gathered in the airport. Xiao Fan thought for a while and said, let's meet. There are so many people gathered at the airport. Don't make any trouble. Su Yue nodded slightly. It didn't take long for Xiao Fan and Su Yue to get out of the station. There was a car to pick them up, but Xiao Fan and Su Yue didn't take the car and leave directly. Master Xiao, Goddess Su. Goddess Su. Seeing Xiao Fan and the others, countless people shouted excitedly. Wife, it seems that your popularity is higher than mine. Xiao Fan sent a voice message to Su Yue. The crowd shouted Su Yue more obviously. That's because I just made a move. The next time you make a move and appear in public, your popularity will definitely be much higher than mine. Su Yue sent a voice message. Everyone, be quiet. Xiao Fan's voice sounded, and everyone quickly quieted down. They might not listen to the words of the stars, but they had to listen to Xiao Fan's words. Everyone, thank you for coming to pick me up. But don't do this in the future. We will teleport away directly in the future. Many of you came here, you should be concerned about whether Yue is okay. Not long after the battle, she fully recovered. Xiao Fan said. At this point, Xiao Fan looked at Su Yue, who smiled and said, everyone, don't publicize this too much. Our China is a peace-loving country, and I personally don't like killing. I haven't even killed a chicken before. Everyone muttered in their hearts, don't mess with women. Su Yue has never even killed a chicken, but this time the United States wanted to assassinate Xiao Fan, and Su Yue went crazy and killed hundreds of people. Of course, Su Yue killed these people and they were very happy. Goddess Su, do you also have the strength of a martial king? Someone asked loudly. Su Yue nodded, I haven't reached the level of martial king, but I do have the strength of a martial king. Countries that are friendly to China don't have to worry, we won't use force against other countries at will. We practice to become stronger, not to bully others, but to safeguard our own and the country's legitimate rights and interests. Everyone was excited. Although many people on the internet speculated that Su Yue already had the strength of a martial king, that has not been confirmed after all. Master Xiao, Goddess Su, when are you getting married? Someone else asked. Su Yue blushed slightly, and she looked at Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan chuckled and said, "This is originally our private matter, but it doesn't matter if I tell you. We will get married after Yue graduates." Xiao Fan has graduated now. Su Yue hasn't. With her current strength, it's okay for her not to go to school, but Su Yue wants to get her diploma so that she can have a beginning and an end. Everyone, let's go. So many of you are at the airport and are affecting the flow of other passengers. Evacuate in an orderly manner and don't crowd. Xiao Fan said, taking Su Yue with him and teleporting away. Everyone left the airport in a very orderly manner. They didn't dare to mess around. It was no joke to make Xiao Fan and Su Yue angry. 3 hours later, Xiao Fan and Su Yue returned to Leishan County. Boom. The spiritual energy here in Leishan County was rich. Su Yue was about to break through. She successfully broke through after practicing for 2 or 3 hours. Her cultivation level went from Grandmaster to Grandmaster. A strong suction force was generated from Su Yue's body. More spiritual energy flowed from the other world to this side through the spiritual cave. Half an hour later, the spiritual flow rate stopped growing. The spiritual cave in Leishan County increased by about 20%. The spiritual cave here was already SS level, and a 20% increase was not a small amount. It would be easier to transmit things with the increase of the spiritual cave. Xiao Fan and his friends would practice here, and the speed would be faster. Wei, have you consolidated your cultivation? Xiao Fan smiled and entered the master bedroom. Su Yue nodded with a smile, "Hubby, my cultivation has reached the Grandmaster level. You have to work harder. You are only at the peak of the martial sect." Xiao Fan's cultivation is indeed at the peak of the martial sect, but he is not far from the perfection of the martial sect. He will be able to reach the perfection of the martial sect in 10 days or half a month. Wei, you are so proud of becoming a Grandmaster. I will let you know how powerful your husband is. Xiao Fan laughed. He quickly threw Su Yue on the bed. After 2 hours of teaching, Su Yue lay weakly in Xiao Fan's arms. "Hubby, I will graduate in more than half a year. Will we really get married after graduation?" Su Yue said with some anticipation. Xiao Fan nodded, "Of course. By then I should be able to go to the other world, and we will hold the wedding there. Grandpa and the others will take over." Xiao Fan estimated that his grandfather's identity might not be kept secret for another half a year. His grandfather was the emperor in the other world, so it was normal for him and Su Yue to hold their wedding there. It was also normal for Lu Baichuan and the others to take over. As the cooperation deepens, some people who are worried now in the top management should not have many worries. There is no point in worrying. After half a year, many heavy machinery and equipment have been transferred to the other world, and most things can be made in the other world. Yeah. Su Yue nodded. Xiao Fan said, "Wife, check the situation in the United States." Okay. Su Yue immediately checked. Soon Su Yue's eyes showed surprise. "Husband, Joseph is dead." His genes collapsed when he used the SS-level evolutionary fluid. Xiao Fan was not too surprised. The United States has suffered such a huge loss this time, someone has to take the blame. If Joseph doesn't want to take the blame, he must either become stronger or die. Who is the new leader of the Evolutionary Alliance? Su Yue shook her head. "I haven't found out yet, maybe it hasn't been decided yet." Xiao Fan pondered and said, "Wife, you know the appearance of the remaining 9 SSS-level evolvers. If they leave the base, can you contact them secretly?" "Why contact them?" Su Yue asked puzzledly. Xiao Fan said with a smile, "Kings, princes, generals and ministers are all born with different species. I want to talk to them about this. Their strength does not match their status. Why should ordinary people lead them? I feel sorry for them. They should be brave enough to fight for their own power." Su Yue looked at Xiao Fan strangely. Xiao Fan was trying to stir up trouble. "Hubby, if they leave the base, we should be able to contact them." Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 499, Water-breaking talisman. Water-breaking talisman. 10 days passed in a blink of an eye. The whole world was relatively calm these days. The media was full of all kinds of gossip. Su Yue killed and maimed more than 10,000 people in the United States, and then killed 9 SSS-level evolvers. There was no heat on the internet. If Su Yue only killed a few people and maimed dozens of people, the news might be all over the place, but she killed and maimed many more people. Killing one person is a sin, killing 10,000 people is a hero. Su Yue did not kill tens of thousands of people, but she also maimed tens of thousands of people. She has shown her attitude. Whoever makes trouble must think about whether he can bear the consequences. Boom. In the villa in Leishan County, Xiaofan suddenly burst out with a powerful momentum, and his martial arts cultivation reached the perfection of the master. With the improvement of martial arts cultivation, there is no doubt that his strength can be improved, and he can digest more space energy beads. His space ability can be improved. Finally broke through. Xiaofan smiled. It is not easy to break through on Earth. If he is in another world, his cultivation speed will definitely be dozens of times faster. Dong dong. Today is the day when Xiaofan contacts Xiao Hai. Late at night, the mirror next to Xiaofan rang, and Xiao Hai's figure appeared in the mirror. My dear grandson, have you reached the perfection of the Grandmaster? Xiao Hai said with a smile. Xiaofan's speed of breaking through the spirit cave and absorbing spiritual energy has increased. There are changes in the other world, and Xiao Hai can certainly know it. Xiaofan nodded. Grandpa, give me the space energy bead this time, and my space ability can also be improved. Grandpa, I don't know what level I can reach after my space ability is improved. A space energy ball the size of a ping-pong ball appeared in Xiao Hai's hand. After you are improved, your space ability should be able to reach the peak of the Grandmaster, and your comprehensive combat power should be able to reach the late stage of the King of Martial Arts. Xiao Hai said with a smile. Xiaofan's cultivation is much safer, which is of course good news for him. My dear grandson, open the Spirit Cave channel. Call Yue too. Xiaofan quickly opened the Spirit Cave channel, and Su Yue also came to the master bedroom. Xiao Hai first passed Xiaofan's space ability bead over. Then he passed Su Yue the ability bead of immortality. Yue, after you digest this immortal power bead, even if you lose your limbs, you should be able to recover. Xiao Hai said with a smile. Xiaofan said, Grandpa, the broken limbs you mentioned, are they completely gone, or were they just cut off by swords and connected? Xiao Hai said unhappily, of course it's the former. If it's the latter, can't they be directly connected in the hospital? Thank you, Grandpa Xiao. Su Yue said obediently. Xiao Hai said with a smile, Yue, don't be polite to Grandpa Xiao. It would be great if you let Grandpa Xiao hold his great-grandson a long time ago. Su Yue's pretty face turned red. Xiaofan said, Grandpa, there are a lot of machines in the warehouse. I'll pass them over. Wait, that's not urgent. I'll pass you some other good things first. Xiao Hai said, and a stack of talismans appeared in his hand. He took out half of it and passed it over. Feeling that he could still bear it, Xiao Hai passed the remaining half of the talisman paper over. My dear grandson, these are the water-breaking and water-controlling talismans that Grandpa had people develop. They can be used on warships or submarines. Their effects are not particularly good due to teleportation restrictions, but if each ship uses one water-breaking and one water-control talisman, it should be no problem to increase the ship's speed by 7 or 8 knots. The fuel of the ship or submarine can also be saved a lot, and the range can be increased by at least 30%, and 40% is possible. Xiao Hai said with a smile, his face was not bad. Xiaofan's cultivation broke through, and his spirit cave was strengthened a little. It was easier for Xiao Hai to pass things over, otherwise his face would definitely be pale. Grandpa, this is really good stuff. Xiaofan's eyes lit up. China's 10,000-ton destroyer 055 has a speed of only more than 30 knots. If the speed of 055 is increased by 7 or 8 knots, it may reach 45 knots, which is far more than all the warships of the United States. Only he and Su Yue are strong, the country will still face threats, and the country's military strength needs to be improved. Xiao Hai said with emotion, when Grandpa was a soldier before, China's various equipment was very ordinary, and everyone was envious of the good things from foreign countries. Now that I have the ability, of course I have to help the country. Now Xiao Hai is the emperor of the Shenlong Empire, but it does not affect his help to China. China and the Shenlong Empire are not opponents at all. Win-win cooperation is the kingly way. Grandpa, I will pass those machines to you. There are many machines in the warehouse. Many large machines are dismantled and sent over, and each has a detailed video of installation. After these transmissions were completed, Xiao Hai's face was already a little pale. Grandpa, how is the situation over there now? Xiao Fen asked. Xiao Hai said, the Shura Corps has already sent 150,000 soldiers to the east, so there should be no problem over there. Even without war horses, 150,000 Shura Corps soldiers will definitely have no problem fighting against 400,000 or 500,000 ordinary soldiers. If the Shura Corps defends, the Blood Sakura Empire and the East Sakura Empire will not be able to win even if they organize 2 million soldiers to attack. Grandpa, don't win quickly, fight them slowly. Destroy their manpower and their economy completely. Xiao Fen said. Xiao Hai smiled and nodded. Grandpa thinks so too. Xiao Fen said, what about the Vulture Empire? Xiao Hai's expression became more solemn. The Vulture Empire seems to be secretly contacting and lobbying some other countries. They may jointly send troops to form a coalition to declare war on US. Xiao Fen was shocked. The Vulture Empire is very powerful. If it joins forces with some other countries to attack, the Dragon Empire will have to bear great pressure. In terms of the navy, although the Dragon Empire's navy has been strengthened a lot, there is still a huge gap compared to the Vulture Empire. At present, the Dragon Empire has only 22 new warships and 4 submarines. The 22 new warships are only first-class warships, while the Vulture Empire has more than a dozen top warships, and now there are more than 90 first-class warships. This gap is not a little bit big. Xiao Fen said, Grandpa, aren't the other countries afraid that our people will come to their homeland with cannons and so on? Xiao Hai said in a deep voice, if they are not afraid, they would have agreed long ago. Fortunately, our Dragon Empire has improved a lot. Now even if the Vulture Empire desperately lobby, they will not agree so easily. We have bought some time. Xiao Fen said, Grandpa, I will contact the Navy immediately. After upgrading our warships, let our warships make friendly visits to other countries. Yes. Xiao Hai nodded. Many countries in the other world have connections with some countries on this side of the earth. There are many large and small spirit caves in the world now. The increase in China's military strength can affect many countries on this side of the earth. These countries can help lobby some countries in the other world. Midline horizontal ellipsis chapter 500, improving the speed of the battleship. Xiao Hai smiled and said, my dear grandson, don't worry too much. Grandpa's side is not a big problem. At most, the coastal areas will be affected. Which country dares to target us will definitely not suffer less losses than us. Xiao Fen nodded slightly. The Shenlong Empire army is invincible in the world. This is not a boast. The 500,000 Shura Corps soldiers are enough to make many countries tremble with fear. Moreover, if necessary, the Shenlong Empire can quickly expand its army. The soldiers of the Shura Corps can be expanded to 1 million. Xiao Fen did not stop the armor factory from producing. A total of 1 million sets of armor have been produced. Grandpa, I will contact you next time at the East China Sea Spirit Cave. Another batch of warships have been modified. 10 more can be sent over. Then we can try to see if the newly built freighters can be sent over. Xiao Fen said. He had previously ordered 104,000-5,000-ton freighters from major shipyards, and those shipyards were working at full capacity. With China's shipbuilding capabilities, it is easy to build such a cargo ship of several thousand tons now. 20 or 30 ships have been built. The current problem is that the Donghai Spirit Cave is probably not strong enough, and cargo ships of 4,000 to 5,000 tons cannot be teleported to the other world. Okay. Contact me in 5 days. Xiao Hai said with a smile, and his figure disappeared after he finished speaking. Master Xiao, welcome. Are you here to see the newly modified batch of warships? There are a total of 11 ships, and we strictly control the quality. General Yang Jinghua said with a smile. Xiao Fen smiled and said, General Yang, I trust you in this regard. I am too lazy to look at it. I have something else to ask you. I have something good. I want to borrow a 055 for experiment. Yang Jinghua was stunned. He looked a little embarrassed. Master Xiao, you went to the wrong place to borrow 055, we don't have it here. 8055s, 4 in the north and 4 in the south. If you borrow other warships, we do have them here. Xiao Fen was stunned. He didn't know that there was not a single one of the 8 in the east. General Yang, I'm sorry. Xiao Fen said quickly. Yang Jingguo waved his hand. We are all contributing to the country. Wherever the country needs it most, our new warships will be placed there. Besides, the latter is more attractive. If you only want 055, I will introduce you to Lao Xia. He is looking forward to your coming every day and has been talking about it in my ear several times. Xiao Fen nodded. 2 hours later, Xiao Fen flew to another base. With a breakthrough in cultivation and stronger spatial ability, his flying speed has now reached 400 to 500 kilometers per hour. Hello, General Xia. Xiao Fen landed and smiled. Master Xiao, welcome. You are finally here at our southern base. Everyone in our base is looking forward to your coming. The base General Xia Jiangho said with a smile. Xiao Fen smiled and said, General Xia, my strength is not bad. If it is not necessary, I will try to have less contact with generals like you. I believe you should understand. Xia Jiangho nodded, understand. Even if the elders believed him, Xiao Fen knew that he had to avoid what he should avoid. Military affairs are not trivial. Master Xiao, Lao Yang has already said that we have a Type 055 inside our base, you can experiment at will. Xia Jiangho smiled. The Type 055 10,000-ton destroyer is the face of the Chinese Navy. Others can't even take a look at it, let alone borrow it. But Xiao Fen borrowed it casually. Xia Jiangho knew very well that Xiao Fen borrowing the Type 055 might be a good thing. Soon Xia Jiangho accompanied Xiao Fen to a Type 055. General Xia, what is the top speed and range of 055? Xiao Fen asked. Xia Jiangho smiled and said, it is 35 knots, but it is actually a little faster, and the top speed can reach 37 knots. The range is 7,000 nautical miles at 18 knots. It will fluctuate slightly due to the influence of ocean currents and sea breezes. Xiao Fen nodded, I will try to see if I can make it run faster. Xiao Fen arrived at the bow of the ship, and he took out a water-breaking talisman. With the powerful dragon power injected, the water-breaking talisman soon lit up. The palm-sized water-breaking talisman became a square of 10 feet. Go. Xiao Fen pushed forward with both palms, and the enlarged water-breaking talisman quickly sank into the bow. The water-breaking talisman that Xiao Hai had people prepare was very convenient to use. Xiao Fen was originally worried about whether there would be any problems, but it turned out to be very smooth. Master Xiao, this is, Xia Jiangho asked. Xiao Fen smiled and said, I just used the water-breaking talisman. When the ship is sailing, the water resistance is very large. This can greatly reduce the resistance. As he said that, Xiao Fen took out another water-controlling talisman. After using it, Xiao Fen took the initiative to say, the one just now is a water control talisman, which can use the energy of water to propel the ship forward. But for a 055 with more than 10,000 tons, if the engine is not turned on, it can probably only make the warship move slowly at a speed of 2 or 3 knots. This can be controlled. The water control talisman is not activated now. Xia Jiangho's eyes showed excitement, can I try it now? Of course, I came here to try it. Not long after, 055 left the harbor. Xia Jiangho looked at Xiao Fen next to him. Xiao Fen activated the water control talisman with a burst of dragon power. General Xia, try to go full speed. Xiao Fen said. Okay. Xia Jiangho gave the order, and the speed of the 055 10,000-ton destroyer soared rapidly. This acceleration was much faster than before. Captain, speed 38 knots. Speed 43 knots. 45 knots. Many people on the warship were shocked. 46 knots, the maximum speed is 46 knots, too fast. The driver said excitedly. 055 is a 10,000-ton destroyer, not a small missile boat. This speed is very, very amazing for 055. 46 knots is about 85 kilometers per hour. It is incredible that such a large warship can move at such a speed in the sea. The maximum speed has increased by 9 knots, not bad. Xiao Fen smiled. Xia Jiangho said excitedly, Xiao Zongxian, this is more than good, the speed has increased so much, and the survivability has been greatly improved. When facing missiles, torpedoes, and other attacks, the maneuverability is much stronger. When facing other warships, it is easier to get rid of the pursuit. Also, if there is a situation in other places, our warships can go faster, and the enemy will be more afraid. Xiaofen nodded slightly. General Xia, test the fuel consumption at the economic speed. Okay. Half an hour later, the fuel consumption at the economic speed came out. With the water braking and water controlling talismans, the fuel consumption has been reduced by 40%. And the economic speed is no longer 18 nautical miles, but 26 nautical miles. The maximum range will be increased to nearly 12,000 nautical miles. Starting from the east, it can reach the west coast of the United States and back. Xia Jiangho smiled from ear to ear. Master Xiao, how many ships can you transform? Xiaofen said, I have a total of 10 water control talismans and 10 water braking talismans. I plan to transform all 8055s. The rest can be used on aircraft carriers. But aircraft carriers are large, so the effect may not be so strong. Midline horizontal ellipsis.